are you answering my phone?
Do you feel guilty yet?
Oh, her. What did you say?
Our family is a total mess. I don't feel too good.
What happened?
A woman called Dad earlier.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回忆放进去后就不再打。
Do you guys ever read on your own?
Why should we, Ma'alimu? And we are paying school fees for you to teach us. That will be making your work easier.
You two ladies are mothers. Kamele. Can I take you out for a late cup of coffee?
Wait, you people, are you going to ignore the fact that he has people to bring certificate of good conduct, pay passport photos, photocopy ID, just to sell me wako barabara?
Tito, you are Aeda. Hey, Shtamene, your new dress code is coming with new swag and new words, right?
Are you saying that the sugar in your tea, the kerosene in your stove, the pulmonary artery from your heart to the lungs?
Day of December 2021. Good morning. It's a cold and chilly day here in Nairobi, and the Met Department said that this weather is going to continue around the country for the better part of this month. So you better brave yourself for more cold mornings across the country. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor Olo. Where are you watching us from? Please talk to us. Tell us. You can reach us on our official social media handles, and the show continues beginning right now. But meanwhile, the three ladies and one gentleman. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Victor.
All right. How are you doing, Stephanie?
I'm doing good. Excited about today being, Thursday, Entertainment Thursday, the new Friday in this building. We have so much in store, so I'm very much excited.
Absolutely. And Doreen is on the other side as well. Doreen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Our viewers, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Chilly morning it is. Chilly morning
Indeed,
it is,
chilly.
but we are here.
Yeah, yes.
Visit Squafa. We brace the cold and make sure we are here, regardless.
For you.
Regardless.
But
There's that part of the morning you don't feel like waking up.
Aye,
You have to give yourself a pep talk for waking up.
You
All
don't
right.
feel like to, but you have to.
You know?
It's called for it. Anyway, good morning to your viewers from whichever place you're watching us from. It's always a pleasure to have you joining us every Monday through Thursday. And just as they mentioned, Thursday is a new Friday, so it's time to do it easy, light. On our lifestyle segment this morning, we'll be talking about indigenous foods. Do you even know which ones are those ones? That is what we'll be talking about today, and our guest this morning will be helping us understand more about these foods, what you need to know about healthy living. So in addition to that, we still have plenty more in store for you this Thursday up until 10 a.m. and that's why we urge you to stay on board up until that time. Many thanks for making time this morning. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo.
We said we will also be adding our new names. Yes. As we wait for bodies in heaven. They say,
I'll read a message today from our ardent viewer. Akona story. Third names it is.
Okay, fine. We will hear that story when we get to the official banter. You're watching KBC Channel 1 and this is Good Morning Kenya. As we say, the Thursday is a new Friday, and more so we're already in the festive mood. And just to make it a little bit light, did you know that the Nairobi National Park is marking its 75th anniversary today? That means if you're going to be among the first 75 persons to get to the Nairobi National Park today, it's free entry. I said among the first 75 people.
Today?
Gain access free.
Why not for the weekend? It should extend.
Actually, that's an offer that they made, and going forward, anyone who is considered a senior citizen of the age of 75, accompanied by at least one person, one vehicle, and one driver, will always be accessing the park free of charge.
Wow.
Anytime.
Some good news there.
And there are also plans to include that persons with disabilities access this park also easily and most probably for free. That is some of the things that the Ministry of Tourism is doing to just encourage domestic travel. You know, there's been so much. Actually, when you talk to the hospitality industry players, they tell you for them 2020, the festive season around 2020 is not in their calendar, so to speak. The numbers were bad. No one was traveling. We're dealing with matters of COVID-19, and it seems we are not out of the woods yet, following CS Kagwe's comments yesterday while he was having that conversation with the Council of Governors, where he revealed that indeed Kenya had confirmed its case, I think 1 or 2 cases of Omicron variant, and saying though the government is not quick to introduce stricter measures in light of this, but continue to implore you and I to first get fully vaccinated, as well as continue maintaining, the COVID health measures put in place. Good morning once again. I'm Regina Manyara. So if you are among the first 75 persons to get to the Nairobi National Park today, when they mark their 75th anniversary, well, it's going to be free entry. And we expect President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to be gracing that event. KBC Channel 1 News Desk is also going to be keeping tabs on that. There's so much more.
So Regina, it means if the president is going, so it means we only have 74 people.
No, the president doesn't.
The president can be counted.
Coming to officiate. He's coming to officiate the celebrations.
All right.
But accessing the park, you know, you have the Nairobi Safari Walk.
Yes.
And we have the National Park.
Now the game drive.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is, if you're the first 75, with the exception of the president as well as the media and other people there, well, it is free.
Why does it look like Kenyans have already made their way there? Now,
if you want to
but just try. Well,
this is the time if you want to be on time there. To make it.
And you see, also there are plans to actually even change the tourism calendar, so to speak, come next year, such that when we consider, or rather when the industry considers high season, especially this comes to, the international arrivals that are marked by, the crossing of the GNUs, or what you want to refer to as the wild beast migration. That's the 8th wonder of the world. It happens around June, July, late June, early July, crossing over from the Serengeti to the Mara. That marks the high season in as far as international tourists are concerned. But if you look at these timings, with the exception of the COVID year where we changed our school calendar too, you'd actually see that this is a time that the kids are actually in school to break in August. So this was considered a high season for the international tourists, so to speak. And government is working on how to tailor-make the calendar to suit both domestic travel and international travel. However, you need to know that within that COVID period, come January 2022, the rates that had been slashed by 50% accessing the national park go back, revert to their normal 100% charge. So if you haven't benefited from the 50% discount, well, it's a high time that you travel before the 1st of January. So that is going to be coming up as we focus on those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. And we encourage you to also check our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, without further ado, what has been making headlines? The government has confirmed that it will not rush to introduce stricter measures against the COVID-19 following the discovery of 3 cases of the Omicron variant in the country. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, however, says Kenya is currently engaging South African countries where the variant is spreading first on how to contain it.
2 Kenyans and a South African have tested positive for the Omicron variant upon their arrival at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport from South Africa.
We have a lot of other samples that we are sequencing. So in the next 2 days, I will be able to confirm the spread or otherwise of the Omicron variant in the country.
The three have since been put under quarantine as health officials heighten surveillance.
So far, the hospitalization cases that we have in our country are still Delta. We have not detected any Omicron variants in our hospitals.
Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says lockdown is not an immediate option, but the government is consulting on how to deal with the possible spread of the variant.
The Omicron variant is likely to be the dominant variant, not just in our country, but across the world. And we are happy that the management of the variant globally is now being handled in a better way. We are not announcing a lockdown. We are not announcing curfew hours. This is something we are observing, and in the next 2-3 days, we will be able to tell the country whether it is necessary for us to go back to some of those measures.
Kagwe has urged counties to ready COVID-19 isolation facilities to contain the disease.
We are not forcing anybody to be vaccinated. However, we must recognize that internationally, there are mitigating measures that have got to be followed.
We are ready. We are confirming that our oxygen plants are functional and the ICU beds are ready.
Kagwe says that though the Omicron variant has a high infection rate, the only saving grace is that a lot of people are not getting severe illnesses.
I can predict that it's a matter of time before there is a wider spread of this virus in the country. The question is whether it will spread amongst people who have been vaccinated, in which case it can easily be contained, or whether it will spread amongst people who have not been vaccinated, in which case we are going to have high levels of hospital occupancy.
Far as the Ministry of Health is concerned, well, Kenya recorded 799 COVID positive cases from a sample size of 7,529, bringing the positivity rate to 10.6%. Now, the Kenya Defence Forces KDF service members are set to benefit from over 3,000 housing units through a public-private partnership arrangement at a cost of 5.3 billion shillings. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony of the proposed residential accommodation at Roy Sambu Military Camp, Nairobi President Uhuru Kenyatta said the project will go a long way in providing decent housing to the soldiers and their families.
With the Kenya Defence Forces KDF facing a shortfall of 45,000 housing units for its service personnel, the Ministry of Defence intends to construct at least 3,069 housing units in the first phase. During a groundbreaking, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the project is to be executed within 2 years starting from December 2021.
Ni mwanzo. Na tukiona na mimi sina shaka ya kwamba huu mradi utatekelezwa kulingana na vile mipango ilivyo. Kwa muda mchache sana tutaweza kuongeza huu mradi kuhakikisha ya kwamba kila askari anaishi kwa nyumba ambaye inafaa na anaishi katika kambi ya jeshi kulingana na matakwa ya kisheria vile inatakikana.
The president said the housing units will be distributed in 5 regions: Nairobi, Nanyuki, Lanet, Gilgil and Nyali barracks. Construction at all the 5 sites are scheduled to run concurrently, with Roysambu site expected to be completed in June 2022.
Kwa hivyo sisi tutaendelea kufanya lolote ambalo tutaweza kuwasaidia kutekeleza jukumu lenu na pia kuchunga welfare yenu, kuimprove equipment yenu, ndio nyinyi pia muweze kutekeleza hiyo shughuli ya kulinda wananchi na kulinda taifa letu la Kenya, mkijua ya kwamba familia zenu zimeishi na inachungwa kwa njia ambayo inatakikana.
According to the Ministry of Defence, the project entails the construction of married quarters in form of 3 and 2 bedroom houses and single quarters.
This is in line with your Big Four agenda and particularly, Your Excellency, the housing pillar. I'm very, very pleased that MOD will be contributing towards the realization of the Big Four and particularly the housing pillar through this project.
We've had the intention to build houses, mainly to get the soldiers living in one area, principally because it is important for them to be in one area for ease of mobilization. And this dream, Your Excellency, has come true.
The project, once completed, shall accommodate 980 families in addition to providing single accommodation to 2,089 service members in line with the government's Big Four agenda of affordable housing.
Now off to unsavory news here, where police have begun investigations into an incident in which a 41-year-old man was sodomized on his way home in Githiagara Muthithi ward in Murang'a County. The victim claims he was hit on the head with a blunt object by 4 young men who dragged him into a secluded area and committed the despicable act in turns. The 2 suspects are in police custody as the search for the other 2 intensify.
This 41-year-old man is nursing both physical and emotional pain. The aftermath of what he went through a week ago on Monday night while on his way home from Kahedu Shopping Center, Kigumo, Murang'a, after an evening of drinking spree with friends is quite evident.
Na mimi naomba hii watu wameshikwa na wale wamefanya hiyo kitendo washukuliwe hatua kali.
The man claims to have been accosted by 4 young men who roughed him up before sodomizing him. He was later discovered by passers-by who took him home, where he gained consciousness 3 days after the incidents.
Ilikuwa Monday, nilikuwa nikienda nyumbani, nikiwa karibu na nyumbani akanigonga na pete, nikaanguka. Mimi nilianguka, na nikianguka nikashindwa na kuamuka.
He would later be taken to the Maragua Level 5 hospital for treatment by Good Samaritans, where he was treated and discharged.
Sasa kumpeleka kwa daktari, alienda akapimwa, nikapimwa mara 3, kisha kupimwa mara 3, tukaelezewa turudi na juu ilikuwa Friday, tukaelezewa turudishe Monday.
Following the beastly incident, 2 suspects, Bernard Kamande, 25, and Eric Kimani, 21, who were positively identified by the victim, have been arrested and booked at Muthithi police station as the search for 2 other suspects intensify. The beastly act has left the residents in great shock.
Kulingana na vile iko kitendo kama hicho, haijawahi sikikana huku ama kuonekana. Kwa hivyo ni kitu imesagaza watu wengi.
It makes you wonder what is going on in the society there, especially such an act perpetrated by young men. May those 2, if you have any information that may lead to the other 2 suspects or any other additional information that may lead to justice being served for this 41-year-old man, kindly get in touch with the requisite security apparatus. On to matters politics, where Deputy President William Ruto has intensified his efforts to woo the Western region during the Oka Principles, urging the Oka Principles from the region to back him up for the country's top job. Ruto, who he touted Mount Kenya Foundation for endorsing Odinga, said the era where a few decide on who will lead the country is over.
Deputy President William Ruto has renewed his efforts to woo the vote-rich Western region. This time around, going for the region's kingpins. Ruto, who is on a 2-day tour in the region, urging Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi and his Ford Kenya counterpart Moses Wetangula to join forces with his United Democratic Movement, a vehicle he says will deliver a win in the 2022 elections. According to the DP, the 2 presidential hopefuls were taken for a ride in the recent vetting by the Mount Kenya Foundation that endorsed Odinga for the presidency.
Ati walipeleka Musalia hapa ati kwenda kumfanyia interview.
alafu hata hawakumuita hata kumwambia majibu ilitokea namna gani. Mimi nauliza nyinyi watu wa hapa Butali, mnataka Musalia afanye na kitendawili ama afanye na mimi? Afanye na kitendawili ama afanye na hasla? Afanye na hasla. Hebu nione wale wanasema afanye na hasla, afanye na hasla, afanye na hasla.
The DP and his lieutenants further urging Kenyans to resist attempts by some individuals to divide them along party lines so as to achieve their selfish interests.
Ndio mimi nimekuja hapa kwa unyenyekevu jameni, tujipange kwa chama ya mahasla wote. Hiyo ya kazi ni nini? Tuko pamoja, tutaungana. Kwa chama ya kazi ni kazi. Hiyo ya kuunganisha wa Kenya.
Echoing the DP sentiments, area leaders led by John Waluke termed the Democratic Action Party as a scheme aimed at destabilizing the Amani National Congress and the Ford Party of Kenya.
Hiyo chama imeundwa kupigana na Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi ama namna gani? Sisi tunakaribisha Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi kwa chama yetu ya UDA. Yule mzee ameshajua Western Province imemtoka. Sasa ile ukora wanafanya ni kutumia mzaa tuoli kupatia Eugene Wamalwa pesa kidogo hapa, ataform chama akuja tugawanye sisi. Mimi naambiwa mami Musalia na Wetangula, huyu mtu amewatumia vibaya, muondoke hapo. Ile idea ambayo mko nayo mzuri mulete tuunganishe na idea ya bottom up ya William Ruto, tuunde serikali. Watu ya mkoa wa Magharibi kaeni pamoja ndio tufaulu. Na kama tutagawanyika kwa chama hii na chama ile na chama ile ya ukabila, hatutafaulu.
Politics, as they say, a day is quite a long time. Now, Kenyan women are being urged to demand greater involvement in the country's politics. A section of female leaders say women will not settle for less and will challenge all male presidential hopefuls to nominate women as their running mates in the 2022 general elections.
The Maendeleo ya Wanawake annual general meeting has provided a platform for women in leadership to seek to redefine the place of women in Kenya's politics.
Tunaenda siasa, na hiyo siasa si ya mchezo. Vijana wanasema wataki historia, sisi tunasema historia inakufundisha mahali pa kuenda. Kwa hivyo tunaomba sana, na hakuna siku hata kwako nyumbani huwezi kafagia historia.
Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu charging the Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization to maximize on its membership and push the women agenda in the next general elections.
They can say our 4 million members will vote for this particular candidate, and for that reason they can get what they want.
Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu says the time is right for a female deputy president.
1 as a running mate and 2 in their parties, political parties. If really I was given that opportunity, and on behalf of women, I would love to take it. I would love to.
But even as women pushed their agenda, calls for the empowerment of boys also reverberated.
We got into this thing of empowering the girl by putting off the man, putting off the boy. Now we have a situation like the one I've just described. The girls that are so empowered want wives, husbands, but they can't find those husbands. Unless something drastic is done, the man that we have known for a very long time is going to become extinct.
Adapt the affirmative action model, because it is affirmative action, the extra weight put on a section in society at a certain time to help them move from one place to another. We have explained to men for years, affirmative action doesn't mean free things.
Tuko na shinda kama nchi. We hear the cry of our boy child. We do. And therefore, the need to approach the bishop, we start this positive masculinity. We are going to be doing programs countrywide. So even as we talk about political empowerment, we realize kuna pahali values tumeacha kwa nchi hii.
Bishop David Oginde argues that the buck stops with women in the creation of safe spaces for both genders.
So women are ready to take up the running mate position. We'll be keeping tabs on that as the political winds continue blowing ahead of the general election slated for August 9th, 2022. On that note, we take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Good morning once again. It is December the 16th of the year is 2021. It's a festive mood and you're watching KBC Channel 1. Thursday is the new Friday. Bringing you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. And now we delve into matters security, where it is now 4 months since heavy security was deployed in Olmoran, Laikipia County to restore normalcy in the area. However, the victims of the inter-ethnic banditry attacks and livestock theft still recall the gruesome path they went through during and after the conflict. Most of the areas which were affected were Kamwenje, Maitiku, Wangwishi and Olmoran, where people lost their lives and property.
These are the effects of Olmoran conflicts. To many, this reminds them of a painful story never to be forgotten. Christine Jelarua, a 31-year-old and mother of 4, is one such person who fled their homes at the height of the skirmishes. She recounts how their houses at Ngare Narok village were torched and livestock stolen and forced to run for her dear life.
Ni shida tu hata kukula hata chakula, patikani hata chakula, hawezi kuja hata town, hata wapi, hata soko, hakuna mali anaenda. Hata manguo, hakuna hata nguo. Nyumba amechomwa, kila kitu amechomwa. Masuburia, mambera, matungi ya maji, kila kitu hakuna hakuna. Ile nguo walikuwa amefanya nguo tu hiyo.
She says her husband and children fled to different directions, but for her, she sought refuge at St. Mark Catholic Church in Olmoran Trading Center, where she has been living ever since.
Umetoka mswanane huko. Paka sasa ya 12. Hajarudi.
Patrick Thuku, also a victim, left his home after it was reduced to ashes at Miharati village, and illegal grazers drove herds of cattle into his maize plantation as they sought for pasture. He was reduced to a beggar, and for now he is depending on manual jobs at the local Catholic church.
Siwezi kurudi nyumbani maana nyumba nilichomewa, hakuna pahali sasa pa kwenda kukaa, na niko na haja sana ya kwenda kwa shamba yangu, but sasa siwezi. Sasa nimekodishiwa nyumba hapa juu, hapa town na Olmoran. Sister hapa St. Mark ndio alinichukulia nyumba hapo,
Monica Wangoi, a nun at Olmoran Catholic Parish, recounts how tens of families flocked at the church seeking refuge.
Kwa sababu ya mambo yaliwaadhiri kiakili kabisa. Kama tungekuwa na hiyo nini ya counseling ya serikali ambao wanaweza kuja hata kukaa hapa, hata kama ni hapa hata una mahali popote pale, na hao watu watakuwa wakifrequent that place. Kwa sababu sisi sasa tumechukua hilo jukumu la hatuna maybe we are not experienced in those matters of counseling na nini, lakini tunajipata pia kujaribu kuwaondolea yale mawazo, kuambia kwamba there is tomorrow, kuambia kwamba wasijali kwa sababu kuna watu ambao wanawajali hapa. Ukikosa chochote kuja hapa, tuko hapa, tutakusaidia.
According to the nun, many people have suffered psychological trauma and require professional counseling. However, as much as they appreciate the government's efforts and commitment to restoring calm and normalcy in the area, the victims say much more is needed to instill confidence.
To the counties, residents of Siaya seeking medical services in government facilities will have to be vaccinated before they are attended to. This will ensure the county achieves the target of vaccinating a total of 115,000 people by the end of December. Details of this and others in the County News Roundup.
According to Siaya County Immunization Services Coordinator Joshua Ondiege, Siaya County is looking to play its part in the war against COVID-19. The directive comes even as the court stated a similar directive issued by the national government.
Anybody who has not been vaccinated, they need to prioritize. They need to be referred for COVID-19 vaccination before they access the other services within the facility.
Meanwhile, the government says some 12,000 families in Narok East Sub-County will be handed 3,000 shillings to cushion them from the drought.
Kusikuwe na shida kwamba kuna shida ya njaa. Serikali iko na itachukua hatua ambayo inafaa kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu amepata chakula ya kula.
Elsewhere, drama unfolded at Embu Water and Sanitation Company offices a few hours after the board of directors reinstated suspended managing director, Engineer Felix Mutura.
I've reinstated him with a letter signed by the chairman on behalf of the board of directors, and now he's in office. I've called all the managers of the company and I've addressed them, and they are now in support of the company, and the company now going forward is on safe hands.
So we have agreed with the board, let them sort out their issues and let us work. So as we are now, I'm still acting MD, na kazi inaendelea, wananchi wakunywa maji.
Finally, transport was paralyzed along the busy Meru-Nanyuki highway for the better part of Wednesday after locals took to the streets to protest against a spike in accidents.
Nitachukulia hiyo mambo na ile uzito inahitajika na nihakikishe kuwa bump imeweza kuwekwa katika eneo hili. Shule mingi tuko nazo za serikali, tumehakikisha kuwa bump zinawekwa ndio watoto wetu kuwa salama.
Off to matters business, where the government will add more services onto the e-citizen platform to improve service delivery and transparency. President Uhuru Kenyatta said that e-citizen portal promotes open governance by enhancing citizen participation in government processes. He was speaking during the Open Government Partnership Global Summit, and he said that the electronic system has made the government services cheaper, more inclusive, transparent and efficient.
Launched in 2014, the Electronic Citizen Platform provides access to a wide range of services, including business registration, filing of taxes, processing births, marriages, and death certificates, among others. The platform has been hailed globally by bringing public services closer to the masses. President Uhuru Kenyatta has told the Global Open Governance Summit that the government will add more services to the systems to improve service delivery. To further improve transparency in public procurement, President Kenyatta has directed all institutions to publish details of announcements and awards of government contacts. Nairobi County is already implementing a national addressing system that will ensure civic engagement remains central to the naming and numbering of public spaces. The president's message was delivered through a video recording at this year's Open Government Partnership Global Summit hosted by President Moon Jae-in of the Republic of Korea. President Kenyatta pointed out that the Kenya's commitment to open government is reflected both at the national and county levels, noting that 4 of the country's 47 devolved units had joined the OGP initiative. The OGP Global Summits provide an opportunity for participants, including representatives of government and civil society, to exchange experiences, best practices, and progress on open government initiatives and implementations. The 2021 summit marked the 10th anniversary of OGP.
Kenya has adopted an e-citizen platform to promote wider participation for our people in government processes and development activities. This has made access to government services as well as service delivery cheaper, more inclusive, transparent, and efficient.
Other speakers at the Global Summit include US President Joe Biden, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, President Emmanuel Macron of France, and Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, among others.
On to matters agriculture with a little bit of tech, where farmers in 37 counties now will access farm inputs at a subsidized price following the extension of the e-voucher input subsidy program. And this is after a successful pilot of the program in 12 counties. The e-voucher system has broadened the range of inputs available to farmers to include basil and top-dressing fertilizer, lime, certified seeds and agrochemicals.
The National Value Chain Support Program was initially piloted in 12 counties, involving 4 value chain crops such as Irish potatoes, maize, rice and coffee, with the aim of increasing productivity of smallholder farmers by supporting them with a wide range of subsidized inputs through an electronic-based input management system.
Ni muhimu zaidi kabisa tuboreshe taaluma zetu, wakulima watumie teknolojia za kisasa, na wakulima pia wawe na ufahamu na kile kilimo, na kwa hivyo pia inabidi tuboreshe upande wa wale extension workers.
The e-voucher system begins with farmer registration that captures the farmer's biodata and transmits it to the Ministry of Agriculture servers at Kal Road, Nairobi. Upon verification, farmers then receive e-voucher messages bearing unique codes which they take to the agro dealers to begin the e-voucher redemption process. The system then automatically deducts 60% of the input cost, triggering a 40% top-up from the ministry's till number.
Ndio maana tumekuja kuzungumza na ndugu zetu wa county ndio waweze kutusaidia kuwafikia wale wakulima.
Meru, Nyandarua and Nandi are among the additional counties to benefit from the program.
Crossing over to the sporting arena, in 2 months' time, Athletics Kenya will release a report on concerns raised by athletes during the Federation's consultative forums that are held across the country. This was revealed by AK President Lieutenant Retired General Jackson Tuwei during a press briefing that was held in Nairobi.
More than 2,600 athletes took part in the just concluded athletics consultative forums across the country. According to AK President, the forums, which were held in 15 different regions, were attended by 1,916 male athletes and 736 female and 269 coaches. Tuwei revealed that the views raised during the forums are being compiled in the final report, which is expected to be released within 2 months and will help in the Federation in implementing policies in an effort to curb vices, among them abuse of athletes, as well as improving athletes' welfare.
We are in the process of streamlining the same to ensure that all athletes have fair and timely access to these letters free of charge. We look forward to more collaboration with athletics stakeholders as we right the wrongs of the sector while perfecting our strong suits.
Meanwhile, 100 meters African record holder Ferdinand Omanyala has said he will attempt the world record of 9.58 seconds, currently held by Usain Bolt of Jamaica.
And I also like to ask Athletics Kenya to put more events, because I learned this year that competition is the best training. You compete more, every time you compete you get better.
Omanyala will take part in the World Indoor Championship set to be held in Belgrade, Serbia from 11th to the 10th March next year in the 60 meters race, which will be a culmination for his indoor events before returning to his specialization of 100 meters race ahead of the new season set to begin in May.
Kenya Premier League giants Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards yesterday unboxed their new home and away training kits at Camp Toyoyo grounds. The two clubs will, for the rest of the season, step onto the field in new kits sponsored by BetSafe and designed to reflect their rich heritage.
Big giants Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards will wear new kits sponsored by BetSafe for the rest of the 2021-2022 season. Gor Mahia will don their traditional green, while the Leopards will continue with their brilliant blue and white color scheme, both retaining the visual hallmarks of their respective clubs. The early Christmas present was handed over to the clubs by BetSafe, who assured the teams of their support as they battled it out for the rest of the season and beyond.
I know this year is a bit tough, but hang in there. Play for the shirt, play for the teams, play for yourselves, play for your families, and you'll get the result. We are behind you in every single way, and we are looking forward to the end of this season and the years to come as we build this partnership together.
BetSafe is also looking to renegotiate the terms of the sponsorship that were changed earlier in 2021 due to the difficult economic climate occasioned by the global COVID-19 pandemic.
Last year, we witnessed a final between the two teams in the cup competition, and I want to give you assurances again that we, as Gor Mahia at least, let me speak for ourselves, will always put our best foot forward.
Kogalo will take to the field in their new kits for the first time on Saturday against Kakamega Homeboys, while the Leopards will leave the den to face Talanta on the same day.
I know when people outside think that inside is very rosy, it will be very prudent if the government of Kenya today decided to say that football, being the mass game in this country or worldwide all over, they need to invest. Let us invest in football first and foremost.
Gor topped the table on 18 points while Leopards are 13th, 10 points behind.
That brings a cap to matters in the headlines this morning. Remember, further details are available on our website. That is www.kbc.co.ke. We take a quick breather. When we return, we're going to be sampling the dailies for you. Welcome back to the program. We now continue with the show, and right now to our second segment, that is in the headlines, where we get to sample for you the different stories that have been highlighted on our dailies. And perhaps you can begin with how the front page of the PD looks like, and this is in respect to COVID-19. A lot is already being said in regards to the new variant, that is the Omicron variant, and also WHO released a report in regards to that, where they just say that this particular new variant is spreading at an unprecedented rate. This also comes after Kenya already reported 3 cases as of yesterday, as it was mentioned by the CS Health yesterday, and this is again why Kenyans are being urged to continue taking caution, continue adhering to the COVID-19 protocols, as well as ensure they get vaccinated. That story of actually COVID-19 has been fleshed out this morning from page 4 through 6, just highlighting this particular new variant and just saying the different countries in which it has been detected. And also the reports coming out is that it could have actually spread further, only that in some areas it hasn't yet been detected. And the same also continues still on Matters Health, where the Health CEC warns of COVID 5th wave that is in Machakos County there. So away from Matters Health and perhaps COVID-19 to a bit of some elections and what KNCHR is set to do in respect to just setting aside 160 million
for poll monitoring, saying that this is the best way they can be able to monitor next year's general election to ensure that they're actually free and fair from their side. And this is perhaps why they're setting aside all this money to just ensure that they get to monitor this elections. When we get to the details, I'll be telling you how this money has been just broken down in different capacities to ensure that actually all the elections come next year will be well monitored. And in Kilifi County, there's panic as lion is on the loose as it has critically injured. To remember that we've been actually having this kind of stories over time in different places in the country where we have most of these wild animals either encroaching into into people's areas or even into most of these farms. And right now there's actually what Kenyans are saying in most of these parts, and particularly in this particular county where this lion is said to have injured two, is that Kenyans are now asking, especially the KWS, to come up with measures that are going to ensure that at least most of these wild animals get to stay in their designated areas. But in regards to these two who have been injured in that particular county, at least now they are getting treatment. In regards to that, we also have some bits of business there, and this is again in respect to the Christmas season. And right now it looks like Kenyans will just have to pay more for most of these goods that they get to buy, with the main header gloomy festivities as prices of essential commodities shot up. Again, when we get to the details, I'll be telling you actually why this oftentimes happen and why this specific time the prices of most of these commodities, especially essential commodities, foodstuffs, things like sugar, milk, have actually shot up in this time, and up until what time whereby these prices are expected to just be up the way they are right now. And again, also latest report by TIFA shows that Sakaja is the most popular Nairobi governor aspirant, being followed closely by Esther Passaris, that is at 11%, Sakaja at 13%, just saying that if elections were to be held today, he's perhaps going to be the most preferred candidate for the gubernatorial seat. But where exactly does it put the others who are also trying to vie for that particular seat? Again, when we get to those details, I'll be telling you more about that. Victor.
So on the front page of the Star newspaper, there's a photo there of one lady, Wambui Nyotu, who is the person there according to the newspaper here. Still on the page, you can take a look at that story. It's fleshed out there for you in details. And on the Star as well, front page, it will not be possible to steal my votes, says DP Ruto. It will not be possible to steal my votes. And the story continues to say that the DP rubbishes claims that election results are determined by a deep state. The DP said assertions that his supporters will cast their votes, but the counting and declaration of the results done by the faceless deep state are far-fetched. He termed it as a narrative being spearheaded and spread by perennial losers. Ruto rubbished off the existence of the deep state, sometimes referred to as the system, saying that it's a fallacy being pushed to scare voters. So that is yesterday when he was speaking in Malava constituency in Kakamega County. And a huge blow to civil servants as court says no to active politics. This backs EACC that UON Don Ben Sihanya must choose between ODM and varsity job. Now, civil servant Justice Ndumanderi said that public officers with active roles to play in the management of political parties are bound to relinquish their positions in the civil service. The judge made this proclamation and this pronouncement on December 9th in a ruling on a petition by Professor Ben Sihanya, who has locked horns with the EACC over his appointment as the chair of the ODM disciplinary committee. Now, excuse me, according to the justice, the said conclusion is that this rests within the meaning of the section 23(2) of the Leadership and Integrity Act, as read together with section 12(1)(c) of the Political Parties Act. He said that the prevailing circumstances under the petitioner is deemed to be a public affair, since he fails in the realm of a person whose remuneration and benefits are paid out of money provided by Parliament. So for the civil servants, it's now either you take your job or go straight to politics. And moving on quickly to some story here that job losses pushed urban dwellers into farming. That's according to World Bank research. The global lender notes that employment increased in rural areas, mainly in agriculture. So according to the report, the pandemic has had a huge impact on the labor market, and some of the scaring will have longer-term implications. Unemployment increased in urban areas while employment increased in rural areas, with agriculture being the top option. Let me get your point on this one, Regina. From the business side, this points at a very positive note in terms of the economy and the food production in the country, right?
Well, it depends on from where the angle you're looking at, because earlier this week we had a report indicating that we might be headed to a drought at least January, February, so to speak. Then also there's the issue of, do we have the reserves that we require, compounded by the fact that we're headed to a general election. We have had a good harvest, so to speak, and even you heard from that particular story by PS Agriculture Hamadi Boga saying that they're also working on just getting more farmers to sell to them as NCPB, to sell to them their produce. So give or take, if you look at it, you can say we've had good rains, but the issue is where the farmer is concerned, are they taking home what they require? The issue of food security is fluid, so
actually it's part of the government's agenda.
Yes, it is, but it's quite a fluid situation because on top of that there's also the purchasing power of Mwananchi, so to speak. Because if you look at the survey that was given yesterday by the central bank, it indicated that a majority of households actually deferred, or rather took advantage of the moratorium on loans for that 1 year, at around 14%, so to speak, because of the purchase power had gone down because of the COVID-19 disruptions. And also in as far as we had good weather. Remember, we were also dealing with the fall armyworms from 2018. We were also dealing with the locust invasion, and it hit around 10 to 9 counties in that space. So we are still working on food security. We are not there yet. And there's been a conversation even within government to have that we move from over-reliance on maize and take up other cereals, the sorghum, the green grams and such. And the e-voucher has been launched in 37 counties, so to speak. So it will also bring the cost of inputs down so that the farmers now can have a little bit more. Government 60% immediately you get on the e-voucher, 60% is deducted off, and this and your verification indicates that the ministry immediately takes off the 40% of what is remaining after your for your purchase. So 100% subsidy, so to speak, on farm inputs that not only just include certified seeds but also fertilizer and lime. And in future they're talking about financing and soil testing. So it's a journey we're walking. We're not there yet.
And I think it's also the increase of production companies around the country of producing fertilizers and all the farm inputs. I think it's okay. Somebody like Doreen must be happy. In western side of Kenya, ugali is the thing. Okay.
So just appreciating government's efforts to actually help and assist Kenyans. See what we are Western peke yake.
It's for food basket. We do a lot of corn. Okay. And finally, still in business, Kenya ranked among top 4 export-import markets in Africa. 27% of the surveyed reported that they trade more with South Africa, Ghana, and Kenya. So inter-African trade is on the rise, with at least 50% of countries in the continent trading with each other. That's according to survey. And this, according to the Africa CEO survey by Pan-African Private Sector Trade and Investment Committee, shows half of the respondents surveyed import goods or services from other African countries. And I think most of the African countries have been championing for the inter-African trade between the countries. And if you ask me, this is the way to go. So Kenya, South Africa, and Ghana, way to go.
Now, talking about that, or rather that bit in as far as matters of exports are concerned, Kenya and Uganda are embroiled in an egg war. Vita ya mayai. We will be giving you details when we come back. Do keep it right here. a problem.
You've also finished your plan? Research and Development Manager. Whoa. But I don't see your name.
What?
Dear, don't be too upset. Just calm down.
Why are you answering my phone?
Do you feel guilty yet?
Oh, her. What did you say?
Our family is a total mess. I don't feel too good.
What happened?
A woman called Dad earlier.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打。
Do you guys ever read on your own?
Why should we, Ma'alimu? And we are paying school fees for you to teach us. That will be making your work easier.
You two ladies are murderers.
Can I take you out for a late cup of coffee?
Wait, you people, are you going to ignore the fact that he has people to bring certificate of good conduct, 2 passport photos, photocopy ID, just to sell me wako barabara?
Tito, you are Laeda.
Hey, Shtamene, your new dress code is coming with new swag and new words, right?
Are you saying we are the sugar in your tea, eh? The kerosene in your stove? Yani, the pulmonary artery from your heart to the lungs?
Think about this for a minute.
There's nothing to think about.
For many years, for most of my life, in fact, I have been resisting the urge to take someone's life. I think it'd be easier to start at the end, which is here.
Paul, I'm not stupid.
Good morning once again. If you're tuning in, this is KBC Channel 1. Good morning, Kenya. We're just sampling what has made headlines in the various dailies that we have in studio. So before we took a break, I informed you that Kenya and Uganda are embroiled in an egg war. Vita ya mayai. Na namaanisha vita ya mayai ya kuku.
It's good to be specific.
Egg.
No, I need to be specific.
Yes.
People have a way of changing things to mean something that you have not said. I mean, mayai ya kuku.
People have a way of thinking outside the box.
They are not this
Thinking
actually I want people to think within the box.
Just the
thinking
way it
about
is.
mayai. So you think you like your poached eggs, scrambled eggs, fried eggs, Spanish omelette as such. Well, the way things are going, that may be in short supply in the coming few months or weeks, so to speak. Or if it's within the market, it's going to be like more expensive. And this is why. So the Uganda's private sector is now embroiled in a spat with Kenya. And this is the reason, and this is what they say. Your chickens cannot lay as many eggs as ours. And this is your argument. If you look, Uganda will always produce more eggs than Kenya. If you just think of the feeds that our poultry industry takes up, Uganda definitely produced more feeds. And this is according to Simon Kahero, the chair of the East Africa Business Council, Uganda chapter. And because our climate, we will always produce more chicken and eggs than the rest of the region. Now, this current tiff started with Kenya. CC, banning importation of chicken and chicken products to protect farmers. It's farmers that threaten to ruin this vibrant commercial relationship. So it was in the interest of our poultry farmers that government did such a move. However, according to Tegemeo Institute research, Timothy Njage, this move was inflamed by the COVID-19 pandemic, with India sweeping nearly all the raw materials used to manufacture chicken meal from Kenya's source markets such as Uganda, Zambia, and Malawi. Consequently, this led to the increase in cost of the layers feed. And as a result, Kenyan chicken farmers abandoned local manufacturers of chicken feed and moved to Uganda and Tanzania. So you see, when you say COVID disruptions, they come in all forms. And they hit all areas, including supply ya mayai. So in a nutshell, Kenya-Uganda trade, this is not the first time that our neighbors and us are involved in this push and pull. We did that with maize, we did that with sugar, we did that with milk. Now tuko kwa vita ya mayai.
But this looks like that sibling rivalry. Unajua mimi utanifanyia, mimi sikukufanyia, so hatutafanyiana. So ni time yako, ni tani yako. Because also around the same time in 2019, still because of that ban of importation of milk, it still continued that process of the TIF.
That's where we are. And I'd also want to, there's something that we have never resolved. And I grew up hearing it. I have read it out to the public. The issue of the fish within Migingo. Victor, the issue of the fish. I understand the waters are said to be Kenyan waters.
But the fish belongs to?
But the Uganda.
It was a narrative which was pointed during Kibaki's regime. Remember, Kenya's actually pushed President Kibaki to resolve the issue. But it's the same way we had our own issues with Somalia. Even an inch of a boundary can bring a very big tiff between two nations. So it has to be handled properly. But then, you still realize that most Kenyans who reside in that small, it's being referred to as small rock in the lake, they still face a lot of harassment from police officers from the other side of Uganda. So it's an issue. How it's going to be resolved years from 2002 during President Kibaki's regime, and now President Uhuru Kenyatta is leaving office without that issue being resolved, it still leaves so many questions unanswered. How is Migingo Island going to be resolved? Is it part of no man's land? Is it part of Uganda, or is it part of Kenya? Ama samaki ni ya na maji ni ya, So it's a tough decision. Personally, I can't really.
But some of the experts in regard to vita ya mayai here, so to speak, and I'm saying it on a very lighter note, but it is something of consequence, because if you look at Kenya-Uganda trade, the value of what Kenya sold to Uganda in 2020 is at 72.2 billion. What we sold to Uganda and what we bought from Uganda in 2020 amounts to 25.9 billion shillings. So this is a love-hate relationship that has to be resolved, lest we are going to see the entry of smuggled goods through our borders. And this is going to create more harm than good, especially for these farmers that the government has been quick to try and protect going forward. So this is a regional bloc. We will be keeping tabs on what happens, especially when you look at, the EAC, the regional bloc, working at having even a common market, so to speak, and also having a common currency. These are some of the things that have been working within the East African regional bloc. So we'll be keeping tabs on this particular.
But you see, again, Regina, one of the reasons, again, Uganda, we do a lot of trade with Uganda. Uganda is a landlocked country. So unlike Kenya and Tanzania, where we have got our ports around, Uganda depends mostly on agriculture. So if they have enough supply that can sustain them, the rest wanapeleka wapi?
But when you look at that tussle, it looks like really it's just been an ongoing kind of war, perhaps beginning from that issue of Migingo Island. All these other things of sugar, milk, It'll just be looking like side shoes, but there's actually, it's deep rooted. But nonetheless, the CS trade is saying that they're looking for ways to actually resolve it, given the fact that Uganda is a really good trade partner of Kenya. But trying to resolve it on this particular side shoes, as I would call it, as opposed to looking at the deep-rooted issues, I don't know if that's going to even solve the problem.
Yeah, I believe we should, get to the roots of it so that we don't have cases like this occurring again in future. Maybe another product, we can never tell.
Okay, Steph.
Okay, let's take a look at the Daily Nation. On the front page, we have KRA to access cash in secret bank accounts. So this story is on page 9. And we are told that the Kenya Revenue Authority is set to get unfettered access to information on secret bank accounts held by Kenyans in 106 foreign countries, tightening the noose on tax evaders and beneficiaries of illicit wealth. The National Treasury has, in a legal notice, disclosed that in the final stages of signing exchange of information agreements with multiple tax authorities across the globe, including the popular tax havens such as Switzerland, Panama, the British Virgin Islands, Mauritius, Jersey, and Monaco. And these regulations shall come into operation on January 1st, 2022. You can get more on that story, but we'll get into it just in a few. Also making the front page is the story on Ruto and Raila, who are fighting for voters in diaspora, which is said to be the 291 county constituency that is only eligible to vote during the presidential elections. And now every vote counts. And from 2013 elections, we saw how President Uhuru secured his presidential seat only by 50% threshold and avoided a runoff by the thinnest of margins, about 8,000 votes, to secure victory against Mr. Raila Odinga, his closest challenger. So every vote counts, and the diaspora people are being hunted by the aspirants, presidential aspirants. Another story making the front page is the Omicron virus, news on the Omicron virus, which is at peak and expected to even rise during the Christmas period. So we advise to take caution and go for the vaccines, to just wash our hands, sanitize, make sure that you're not in crowded places, all these regulations that we know already. To other news is that how to make merry without gaining weight during Christmas. I don't know how possible this is, being that Christmas is that time of the year where you want to eat everything and anything that is good. And they've given some of the things, that you can avoid, such as eating processed carbohydrates and calorie-dense food, eating foods that naturally contain a lot of fat, and using a lot of oil or fat in cooking your food. So those are some of the areas that you should avoid if you don't want to increase weight, just to maintain your good health.
We do really care, Maza. Itakuwa time ya
kusherekea watu wana party.
Kesi
badai. It is difficult, but we shall see. So if you want to maintain weight and to be healthy, you can check that out on page 12. On other news is the news on the flu outbreak. Making memes is that kama hauna homa, this time uko Illuminati. And people, it has gone round, it's very common, and a lot of people have had flus. Most people that you meet with wako na homa, experiencing the same symptoms, of fever, some sort of fever, some flu. And it's actually an outbreak. We get this on page 11 from a research done by KEMRI. Surveillance results from the Kenya Medical Research Institute and the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu shows that there is an outbreak of influenza influenza A. The survey was done between September and November, and it revealed the outbreak of the flu in school children and in the general population. Out of 36 samples collected, 4 were positive of influenza A, while the others showed mild signs of the virus. Well, just some details about this flu is that it is an infectious respiratory disease caused by viruses that affect the nose, throat, and sometimes the lungs. Viral infections can be deadly, especially in high-risk groups. So in case you're experiencing, this type of flu, you should go to the hospital and get, medical attention. Research is showing that the cold weather generally worsens upper respiratory tract infections, and experts have warned that Kenyans should prepare themselves for one of the worst seasons of such infections. And this is because of, again, during this time in December, the cold weather is very persistent and will probably still be there for a very long time. So the flu might just get worse. So you need to be careful. And it's transmitted through fluid drops from infected people. That's the information from WHO, and spreads rapidly around the world during epidemics or pandemics and imposes a huge economic burden. So
I think now many people have been answered with that report, that research.
So it is an outbreak there. And just another one to finish up. There's reprieve for Kinoti as court suspends his arrest warrants. We get this on page 4. And the 3-judge bench barred Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutambai from enforcing the warrant of arrest issued against Mr. Kinoti by the High Court after he failed to surrender to police authorities to serve a 4-month sentence. And the order is temporary and will remain in force up until April 1st in 2022, when the Court of Appeal will issue its decision on Mr. Kinoti's request. So that's what's making the front page on the Daily Nation.
Before we let you go, Steph, 1st of April 2022 is when we're going to be having the courts make a decision over, Kinoti, right?
Yeah.
April 1st happens to be April
Fool's Day. Fool's Day.
I'm just... who's fooling who?
Who will be fooling who?
Was it a coincidence? Or something was serious about it?
Who is lying to who?
Whatever you do with that information,
that is entirely up to you.
Yes. So that's some of the stories making the Daily Nation.
Okay, so let's just look quickly on the news that is there, especially for Kenyans, given it's the festive season, time to make merry. Steph mentioned there on the Daily Nation that looking at that particular article whereby is it easy to eat and not grow big as it may. Well, it's the festive season, time to eat a lot of food, but there's a bit of sad news for Kenyans because it just looks like the prices of essential commodities are set to shoot up, and this is that latest report, and they're giving reasons as to why this is actually going to happen. Prices of basic commodities, essential commodities such as sugar, milk have been soaring high, up, and that is also expected to continue at least up until early January. And this is just going by the continued rains, as this article is highlighting, whereby chairman in charge of tomato section at Kongowea Market, that is Julius Mutegi, said that this situation has actually worsened by continued rains in upcountry and increased cost of transportation due to high fuel prices. And he says that as you approach the festivities, prices of commodities always rise because areas where the food products are produced are experiencing harvesting delays due to heavy rains, thus making transportation slow, triggering low supplies. So kama unapanga kukula ukwe mbigi kidogo it may be a bit difficult for you because prices of these things are expected to, actually they are high as we speak, and that is expected to even continue up until end of this this year, at least up until early January. Then again, quickly just on what Kenya National Commission of Human Rights is set to do. This is as we head up towards next year's general elections, whereby they've set out money aside just to monitor the elections, to monitor the polls there. And they're saying that the major reason for this is just to ensure that actually there's transparency, free and fair elections. Just to break it down for you a bit, is that they've actually set aside 160 million for this purpose, and out of this 160 million, 20 million will go towards monitoring campaigns, with a similar amount going towards monitoring the elections. And also the same body intends to spend 15 million to monitor political party primaries, 6 million to monitor accountability and redress process of the primaries, while 8 million will be used for civic education and public awareness campaigns on party nomination. Just showing you that the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is going all out to try and ensure that not only will those elections be free and fair, but also Kenyans will be understanding why exactly they are voting and why they are voting for the persons they are going to be voting for. But the article continues to highlight and continues to break down how that 160 million would be set, the different areas in which it will go to again just continue to ensure the same is well catered for come August elections there, that is 2022 polls. Vic.
Yep. Okay.
Are you trying to regroup? Let me drive you to sports before you take us to where you're going, Victor. Sergio Aguero has retired.
Actually, that's what I'm looking at here. It's because of a heart condition.
Yeah. Man, he retires at the age of 33. So Manchester City fans know Aguero and what he did for the team before he joined Barcelona. And if you looked at that particular feed, you could actually see he was balancing his tears, and at some point he actually shed a few tears there, just saying that he really wanted to remain and assist his teammates, but God had but there are other reasons actually for some things to happen there. From the back page of the Standard this morning, you can get a whole full page, so to speak, just highlighting the Argentinians career, so to speak. The Barcelona striker, that is Sergio Aguero, who was crying at that particular press conference at Camp Nou Stadium in Barcelona, where he announced that he was retiring from football owing to health reasons, his heart apparently. And he has had quite an industrious track record in the field in matters soccer. He's among the world-known players, having only joined Barcelona in the off-season after ending a 10-year stint at Manchester United. Actually, Manchester City, sorry. Well, that's a Manchester United fan there. Okay, Manchester City. And he became quite great. There's something that has been highlighted that in his career, he is the fourth highest scoring player in the Premier League history with 184 goals in 275 games, behind only Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney, as well as Andrew Cole. He's also the league's highest scoring overseas player, having registered 9 more goals than Thierry Henry, Arsenal, and 18, that is the number of hat-tricks he scored, including 12 that happened during the Premier League, and that's a record in England's top flight. He has scored 20 plus goals in all his competitions, 12 out of 13 campaigns between 2007 and 2008, as well as 2019 and 2020.
And it's also said that he's ending his career with 427 goals in 786 games.
Wow.
427 goals, and he played 786 games. So I think there's time for everything, right?
Yeah, he's left.
Yeah.
There's time for everything. He's left a good legacy.
Exactly.
Now, yesterday in the corridors of justice, and this elicited a lot of comment on social media. The case against Babu Owino was dropped. And now this particular article, the front page of the Standard, has given inside details, or other details into a deal that Babu Owino struck with DJ Evolve. Allow me to just skim through it.
Please do.
Commitment by MP Babu Owino to clear a 17 million shillings hospital bill. Pay nursing home costs until DJ Evolve recovers. Buy a Noah and custom make it for the DJ. Set up a DJ academy. Pay in advance a two-year rent, water, electricity, internet and drugs. Buy a house for Orinda and register it in his name and that of his parents, and build the DJ another house in Utawala. If any party fails to comply with any of the terms in this agreement, either party shall be at liberty to rescind the agreement or sue for breach. Habari ndio hiyo, just in case you're wondering how that came about.
Well.
And why the alternative means conflict resolution. Alternative means you settle. So that is part of the settlement, so to speak. You can call it a settlement. I'm not legal. I'm not legalese, so it might not be part of the legal language, but that is what is contained. The further details are available on page 8 of the Standard this morning.
That is
there's just a lot that was said in regards to that, settlement. Some saying that poverty is a hindrance to justice, and this is why he's actually agreeing to all that. Some saying that when you look at the bigger picture, which one is way better, all these settlements or just choosing to go on with the justice process? At the end of the day, it just depends on the individual.
But look at it this way. I am of the school of thought that this is actually... No, I'm not saying someone's health has a price, so to speak. But let's be very realistic. You'd have pursued legal. You've already gone legal. It has given you what it has given. Your life will never be the same. But can it also change for the better, so to speak? So the deal is not an admission of guilt, however. That is what they say in that particular deal. And talking about reprieve, also, you remember controversial story, Dutch businessman Tom Cohen. Now the widow has won the first battle to regain control of his multi-million shillings wealth after a high court suspended a grant issued to his brother to manage the estate. So Wairimo strikes one on that. We'll be keeping tabs on that, including other stories that are making headlines in the corridors of justice.
All right,
we bring
Regina,
in the headlines to a close.
Before you go, Regina, you talked about something, the 75 years, the president of the anniversary of the National Park.
Oh, yes.
Let me ask you, to all of us, did you know that in the early 1950s, more than 30,000 wild beasts used to cross from Athi Kabiti to the Nairobi National Park?
Wow.
Wild beasts. Actually, that was the second largest after the Masai Mara Serengeti. Right now, the report says that not even 100 of them cross.
Wow.
But how can they cross? Are you looking at the expansive, there's lots of development. That corridor has already been closed off, so to speak. And this is one of the issues that environmentalists are dealing with. Ecosystems are changing, and humans have not learned to better coexist with the wildlife. So.
Yeah, and perhaps also that's why when you look at the encroachment of most of this wildlife to human habitat, it's just the same concept.
Yeah, we need to do something about it before it's too late.
It's already late.
It is, but
we can do something about it.
To be done.
Unless it's ndio tuhame tuachie wild animals their path to come back.
Nani alipata mwingine wa kwanza?
We will not answer that. Remember, we are bringing this to a close and getting into an exciting aspect of Thursday being the new Friday, and tutaanza na chakula. There we mentioned the fight vita ya mayai, tumemaliza. Now we want to talk about chapati.
Oh.
Chapo.
Steph amefurahi aje. Is that your
favorite?
Chapati. Najua kuna watu wanapenda chapati madondo.
Victor Olo.
Chapati anything. But that conversation is going to be coming up in not too long, and this is all going to be for a worthy cause. So do not go away. We'll be right back.
you could be seated there, not knowing you're the newest millionaire in town. Want to know how? Visit ufaa.go.ke or dial *361# and find out if there's any unclaimed cash and other financial assets in your name. Labda umeomoka na ujui. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡。
You've also finished your plan? Research and Development Manager. Whoa, but I don't see your name.
What?
Dear, don't be too upset. Just calm down.
Why are you answering my phone?
Do you feel guilty yet?
Oh, her. What did you say?
Our family is a total mess. I don't feel too good.
What happened? A woman called Dad earlier.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡。 回放进去后就不再打。
cha kukasirika. Itafikia ule wakati tutakwenda zetu Dubai, sio hapa.
Wamaanisha huu ujauzito. Waona begi hapa?
Wakishaona kama yetu ndio reli. Kesi itakuwa imeisha. Hatuna haja tuende mahakamani tena.
Onelea mimi na wewe tutafute handwriting expert. Ndo ili tujue ni gani original ni gani fake.
Unakuja ofisini hujui kinaendelea nini, na unakuja napiga na makelele tu.
Good morning. If you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya, and Thursday is the new Friday. Before we took a short break, we're telling you why you need to be on board with us this morning, because we are talking about chapati. Chapati. And I know, yes, it's a festive season. Some of us grew knowing that if you see chapati, either kuna wageni ama ni siku ya sherehe. So we are having a party on the 18th of this month, and it is dubbed the Chapati Festival. It's not your conventional festival, because this is an event that is going to be taking place in Eldoret to raise awareness and also support to cancer patients. And it is being driven by two wonderful ladies. Among them is a cancer caregiver as well a two-time cancer survivor. You're going to be seeing them on screen, and I want to introduce. Start with the one in white there. We start with Rebecca Omolo, who is a lecturer at the University of Eldoret, a caregiver to cancer patients, as well as a chairperson of the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. Good morning, Rebecca. You have seen this face before. This is Esther Ndare, who is a two-time cancer survivor of ovarian and bladder cancer. She's the organizing secretary there of Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. Those are great. Those are our guests this morning, and they are going to be taking us through this conversation. Why do we need to participate in the Chapati Festival that is going to be happening down in Eldoret on the 18th of December? That happens to be Saturday. Good morning, Esther. How are you? Well, we're trying to get Esther there to, respond to us here in studio. Remember, we also welcome your feedback. You can get us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara there. We also have Rebecca Omolo, who is a lecturer at the University of Eldoret, a caregiver to cancer patients, and the chair of Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. So I don't know if my guests can hear me right now. Can we have them so that we can get to see them? Yes. Good morning, ladies. Well, we're trying to fix. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Esther. Good morning, Rebecca. Well, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll have rectified that particular technical hitch, and we'll be talking still about matters chapati and why we need to be part of this chapati festival that is going to be taking place on the 18th of December down in Eldoret, to not only give an opportunity to share, but also create matters of awareness around cancer and how to support cancer patients. We take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
What? The new manager of the R&D sector is him?
My bad. Please be patient. I will explain why I don't like your plan.
What about Dongye?
His mother will now work for my daughter as her beautician. If he's not going to cooperate, I'm sure I can find a way to force the issue.
Still laughing? She's been disfigured. You could even get arrested.
Come on, Mom. Just calm down. Don't overreact.
Tanguliza kwa kauli kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ula an ra'iyatihi, yani kila mmoja ni mchunga na kila mmoja ataulizwa kuhusiana na kile ambacho amekichunga.
Tutaleaje watoto wetu? Je, tuwalea vipi watoto wetu? Je, watoto wetu wana maadili, ama je watoto wetu wana adabu, ama watoto wetu wana tarbia nzuri?
The Masai Mara is one of the most productive ecosystems in the world.
In case I spot any animal with a problem or an injury, I can easily contact the people concerned.
In Maasai communities, women stay at home, but one woman, Lucy Rotican, has decided to defy these expectations.
It was hard, although I was trying, like I should prove them I'll do it, but it took time before they accepted me in the field.
The presence of these animals makes the Masai Mara one of the most popular tourism destinations in Africa. This is Wildlife Warriors, and I'm Paula Kohombu.
Good morning once again. If you're tuning in, you're watching KBC Channel 1, and this morning we're talking about matters of entertainment as well as informing you. We're talking about the Chapati Festival that is going to be taking place on the 18th of this month down in Eldoret. It is being driven by two remarkable women who have a story to tell. This Chapati Festival is not just about sitting and making merry, but also creating awareness around cancer and drawing support for cancer patients and survivors. Introducing my guest this morning, we start off with Rebecca Omolo, who is a lecturer at the University of Eldoret, a caregiver to cancer patients, as well as the chair of the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. Good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Fine, thank you, my dear. I'm fine.
Great. And on her left or right, depending on how your screen, or rather placement of your screen, is none other than Esther Andare. Esther Andare is not an alien face here. We hosted her while we were doing the Eldoret Sundowner chapter as KBC. She is, the lead person in the Eldoret Sundowner chapter there. And Esther is a two-time cancer survivor of ovarian and bladder cancer, and she's the organizing secretary of the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. Good morning, ladies, and welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start off with you, Esther. Tell us more about the Chapati Festival.
The Chapati Festival is a feeding program. Basically, we are trying to get the cancer patients, the cancer survivors, and their caregivers together in one place, so that we can create more awareness of the disease, and also to try and get some kind of help for them through a program we have dubbed Adopt a Patient. So the rest of the members of the public are all invited, including the county itself, so that anybody who is willing to adopt one patient can adopt a patient and help them in one way or the other through the payment of NHIF, paying for their medication, or basically just walking the journey with them.
So, Esther, you can shed more light. What was your inspiration around the Chapati Festival, and why Chapati Festival? Why not Pilau Festival?
Regina, people love chapati. So if people hear chapati, they are excited about it. They come in huge numbers. So that was the main aim of calling it Chapati Festival. We've done it before through the Sundowner Eldoret chapter for the street kids, and I knew this one would happen again now for the cancer patients. Basically, after the journey I've had, and the first time having not had anyone to walk with me, and then the second time I had the whole Sundowner fraternity, including the KBC, working with me the journey. So my inspiration towards this event is because I want to have these people feel the same way I felt when I had people walk with me throughout this journey, so that they also get to have people who can help them walk the journey like I.
Thank you very much, Esther. As KBC and part and parcel of the Sundowner group, I was down in Eldoret, and I quite remember people came together to just stand together and ensure that you walk this journey not feeling lonesome. I want to introduce Rebecca Omolo. As we said, she's the chair of the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret and a caregiver to cancer patients. Rebecca, good morning once again.
Good morning to you, my dear.
What is your feel around the Chapati Festival, especially from a point of view that you are a caregiver to a cancer patient, the need to walk that journey? I think,
Chapati Festival would do so well for a caregiver, and because it is the only festival or the only organization that we have brought together different caregivers. So to me, it's a day for us, the caregivers, to be able to marry, to be able to share our experiences, to be able and so it is a day for the caregivers to just marry around with the cancer patients. Hello. And you see,
please proceed.
Yes, when you talk about the caregivers, necessarily all of us, since to me cancer has become in fact a national disaster. You should know what it is to walk the journey with a cancer patient. So it's our day for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Now, bring it back to Esther there. Tell us, if I wanted to participate on the Chapati Festival, if I wanted to participate, how would I go about it, Esther?
If you wanted to participate, what we are doing is anyone is welcome to come in. Anyone is welcome to coming in the event, but also in the case where you cannot come in the event, we have a till number where you can send any amount you feel you can help with. But basically what we are trying to drive in is that we want any person to adopt one patient. Any person can adopt one patient in any way they can. As we speak, I have about 30 members, 30 people who have come out wanting to support a cancer patient each. And they have all told me they want to pay in one way or the other NHIF. They want to pay in one way or the other a chemo session. They want to pay in one way or the other a radio station. So we already have this thing going as we speak. And that day is basically just to formalize, introduce them to the patients they are supporting. And if they can't, we are offering the names of the patient to them and their ID numbers so that they can pay in through their accounts for the NHIF in any case.
How far is the reach in terms of assistance, Esther? Does it just target, cancer patients only in Eldoret, or is the reach national-wide?
It is national-wide. The thing is, we found that when it comes to the Western region, it's a bit different because you see, the ones in Nairobi get to benefit more than the ones in the Western region. So this was basically to reach out to the ones down the Western region. I'm talking about the Kisumu counties, the Bungoma, Busia, Kitale, those sides. And because we have also we have also traversed these counties ourselves. We have met those people who are affected in one way or the other, whether they are sick, whether they are caregivers, and they have no way of getting assistance because of financial constraints, or because some of them are even afraid of the treatment itself and the myths that are surrounding cancer as a disease. So with that in mind, now we are basically targeting the Western region more, although now we are not closing ways to the rest of the country, because we also have people from Nakuru County coming in, people from Nyeri County coming in one way or the other. So, but basically we wanted to reach out to the Western region who have not had foundations supporting them much more like the Nairobi County has.
You have mentioned that it is open for everyone to participate. Maybe you can tell us how then, which till number, you mentioned a till number, so that even our viewers who are watching this morning and also, we are streaming live, can also be part of this particular noble exercise. Maybe you can read to us the till number.
We'll talk more about the till number and how to channel in the funds. Mm-hmm. But we are encouraging really people to come out in huge numbers, because you see, the physical appearance of people supporting these people is much more than the financial bit of it. These people have been stigmatized, and they feel alone. Most of them, even as you check the data, you find that mostly women are the ones who are abandoned by their husbands, and they are abandoned by the community itself. There are people who have been driven from their homes for the same. So basically, it's that feeling of belonging and the feeling of knowing that there are people who love them regardless of what they are going through. And that is what worked for me more, because you see, I had a huge number of people supporting me. And for that reason, it was like I was walking the journey with them. And because I didn't feel so much like I was alone, it was much easier for me to go for my sessions, to accept treatment. And basically that's how I fought it.
Thank you for sharing, Esther. Indeed, Esther, you are our champion there. Esther Andare is a 2-time cancer survivor of ovarian and bladder cancer, saying that we need to support persons who are, cancer patients and walk the journey beyond the financial support. I want to bring back Rebecca Omolo, who is a caregiver to cancer patients, to just give us her take in regard to, just walking this journey with cancer patients and what impact it has on their overall, getting or overcoming cancer, because we know that there are survivors such as Andare who need this much support, and it goes a long way. Rebecca, what is your take from a caregiver point of view in regard to, walking this journey to recovery by cancer patients? Rebecca.
Number one, I'm telling you, to walk the journey with a cancer patient is just a painful experience. As they go through it and you're together with them, it's just a painful experience because you see their suffering. For instance, even at
it seems your yes, you're back on.
Do not have those in the community. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, taking care of those in our community who do not have people to walk the journey with them. It's so painful to see so many assistance. So it is so traumatizing. For instance, getting a patient deep down the village with an open wound, and just this person waits to die. So this has really touched our hearts, and we feel that we just need to have a voice of people coming up together so that we can sensitize them on the importance of walking the journey with them. It is equally draining, physically, emotionally, financially. It is so draining because, you see, you have to be there for that person. Given, for instance, if somebody is your wife, your husband, you have to be there for them. And you see, very few of us do that. So it is draining for the person who is walking the journey. Financially, we need people to support. Sometimes we lack that support. As cancer patients, they lack the support. And that's why we are coming together as Solace Cancer Foundation, so that we can mobilize people to know that cancer is a national disaster, and cancer needs you and me to even pay NHIF, to assist somebody with NHIF, to give somebody food when they are down, to give them even a fruit when they are down. So it is just a very heavy burden to the few who are walking the journey with the cancer patients. And yet I know in our country, we can really do it. Just imagine, even in the Chapati Festival, if we had maybe the leadership in the county, even outside the county, coming to adopt one patient each, I'm telling you, it will have eased the burden of the family going through it.
Thank you very much, Rebecca there. Before I release you, Esther and Rebecca there, I would want to give an opportunity to you, Esther, to just tell her exactly where this Chapati Festival is going to be happening and how we can reach, or rather our viewers can reach, the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret Center there to just get more details as to how to participate in this noble feat there. Esther.
Well, the venue of the Chapati Festival is at TAC Center. TAC Center is behind Zion Mall, which is the ground used by Central Primary School in Eldoret. And it's on the 18th of this month, this coming Saturday, from 9 a.m. up to 5 p.m. Majorly what we are doing is the feeding program goes on, and then there'll be games where any member of the public will be required to pick a patient and play the games with, basically outdoor games. And then there'll be a bit of dances, there'll be a bit of testimonies from the cancer patients, some of the survivors themselves. There'll be free screening on that day from some of the hospitals in Eldoret, especially Eldoret Oncology providing the same. There'll be screening of other types of diseases with Christopher Clinic coming in for the ENT screening. We have Real Hospital also coming in for general screening. We have Mediheal coming in for general screening as well. But basically what we are aiming at is the free screening for cancer, for cancer, whereby anybody is welcome to come and screen for breast cancer, for prostate, for all kinds of cancers. There'll be those services available on this day. So we are encouraging everybody to come in any way they can, even if not for the patients or the survivors, just for themselves, for the part of the free screening. It's a good way to take advantage of the service provided that is free, which otherwise would be charged for if you went to the hospital.
And a closing remark, especially now to a person who has maybe been diagnosed with cancer, someone who is already going through the treatment, the chemo, the radio, and all that. One encouraging word, given that you are a 2-time cancer survivor.
I always tell people all the time that cancer is not a death sentence. It is not the end of life. It is just like having a cold, having a headache, which after some time, if you treat it in the proper ways, just goes away. And also how you accept it in the way that you embrace it is also different, because when I embraced it, I knew this is the second time I would have easily given up and said I cannot do it again. But you see, acceptance is more important in the beginning of healing than any other thing. So what I can just tell them is cancer is not the end of life. There's much, much more ahead. Even as you go through that treatment, you are not limited in any way in going about your daily activities. So it is the courage, it is the test of courage, it is the test of resilience, it is the test of basically anything about life. And the way you accept it, that is how you start healing.
Thank you very much. That has been one of our guests this morning as we're talking about the Chapati Festival. That is Esther Andare, who is also an avid Sundowner KBC English Service listener there. She's even the chairperson of the Sundowner Eldoret chapter. And now she's coming in to just raise awareness about the Chapati Festival. That is a function, or rather a sensitization function that is going to be taking place on the 18th of December down in Eldoret to raise more awareness on matters cancer, and more so to help members of the public, adopt a cancer patient and ease their burden. You can pay for a month on NHIF, or shop for a day, or even pay for medication. This is also going to be an opportunity for you to get screening for cancer, all types of cancer, as well as general screening. So indeed, the tax center is going to be hosting the Chapati Festival come Saturday the 18th. She was joined by Rebecca Omolo, a lecturer at the University of Eldoret, who is a caregiver to cancer patients and the chair of the Solace Cancer Foundation Eldoret. Further details would be availed on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke, and also you can reach their page, Solace Cancer Foundation, to get further details. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and I'm Regina Manyara, and Thursday is the new Friday. We take a quick break. When we come back, it's all going to be about Matters Entertainment.
envelope.
You're not getting away from me, Connie. You're mine now.
I ran into Bernardo Mendoza.
Victoriana's nemesis.
Yes.
The Masai Mara is one of the most productive ecosystems in the world.
In case I spot any animal with a problem or an injury, I can easily contact the people concerned.
In Maasai communities, women stay at home, but one woman, Lucy Rotican, has decided to defy these expectations.
It was hard, although I was trying like I should prove them I'll do it, but it took time before they accepted me in the field.
The presence of these animals makes the Masai Mara one of the most popular tourism destinations in Africa. This is Wildlife Warriors, and I'm Paula Kahumbu.
Tena sitaki lawama, penzi kiapo hakuna. Nitakupenda sana mpaka wivu utakimbia, na nitalia na wewe mimi kwako nyanga nyanga nyanga. Nini unataka? Nina miujiza. Nini unataka? Amani macho ya blue light, sema nini unataka? Nikugeuze princess, sema nini unataka? Unavyobilinge bayondo, hivyo mimi ndo nataka taka sana nataka. Nini unataka? Nina miujiza. Nini unataka? Nikugeuze princess, sema nini unataka? Siamini, yani siamini, yamenipanda kichwani. Bahaba yako nitasilitimi, yamenikoleza mwilini.
utotoni, usipotembea utabebwa mgongoni. Tufafa champion boy, nite Bwana Samata. Naota mapembe ongeze mkia, na ukini beep tunakupigia. And let me make one thing clear, bra 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 staki kusikia. So simba so chui so mamba, kazi yangu inatosha kujigamba, na sina maneno kwenye kanga. Kazi juu ya kazi yanibamba tubamba. Sasa unaweza kuzaa kisasa, sisi yana fegi uchome kibanda. Kalale wote ndoto zako za kitanda, si bado tuko macho mida ya wanga. Funga mkanda, kaza na kamba, ama ufate nyayo uchane msamba. Masua miamba, masua anga, tunasemaga chambua kama karanga. Hey! Maisha na muziki, acha maneno weka muziki. Ukiwa sub, kiwa hap, kiwa juu, kiwa chini, piga muziki. Safari na muziki, acha maneno weka muziki. Kimba unachopenda na ukitaka kucheza cheza muziki.
Bambata, shika, kamata, rumba, chakata, kaboka mchezi shadata, shadata.
Nataka kukimbia na una break, what do you expect? Bongo, Kongo kwa tabu meki, cheza lokasa ya mbongo uwezi kumeki. Watch yourself, sije ukaji confuse. Mzuko wa kuruka rege kwenye bluzi, una mchuzi, no excuse. Maisha yetu kila siku kama vile movie, vitu vingine vitakaki ujuaji. Utajikuta unatandikia watu jamvi, kusubiria embe chini ya mnazi. Kumwelewesha chizi utajipa kazi. Funga mkanda, kaza na kamba, ama ufate nyayo uchane msamba. Masua miamba, masua anga, tunasemaga chambua kama karanga. Maisha na muziki, acha maneno weka muziki. Ukiwa sub, kiwa hap, kiwa juu, kiwa chini, piga muziki. Safari na muziki, acha maneno weka muziki. Kimba unachopenda na ukitaka kucheza cheza muziki. Wanatamani tupotee kwenye map, tunapeleka game to the top top. I thought I told ya that we don't stop, don't stop, we don't stop. Wanatamani tupotee kwenye map, tunapeleka game to the top top. I thought I told ya that we don't stop, we don't stop.
Hear me, Lord, I'ma leave this one for you. Heal them, Lord, magonjwa yamewakumba. Bless them, Lord, miaka 10 bado mtoto. Bless them, Lord, machozi yamemwagika sana. Strengthen them, Lord, wamefiwa na familia. Strengthen them, Lord, na nyumba washafukuzwa. Lift them, Lord, imani inapopungua. Lift them, Lord, imani inapopungua. For you, for you, for you, for real, for you, for you, for you, for you, the Lord, for you, for you. For you, for real, for you, for you, for you, for you, the Lord, for you. Yeah, for you, yeah. Nazidi kuomba, utatenda. Nazidi kungoja Baba, nitapendwa. Watoto ni wewe waleta, your timing always better. Chakula ni wewe waleta, na rent ni wewe utalipa. Love for you, love for you,
nzima.
The program, this is still Good Morning Kenya. If you're just joining us, you're right in time for our last conversation this Thursday morning, and it's all about foods, from chapatis to foods right now, but we talk about organic, or if you may, indigenous foods. That is our center of conversation this morning on our lifestyle segment, and we just want to find out more about indigenous foods for healthy living. My guest in studio this morning will be helping us unpack all of this, what you need to know as a Kenyan, even as we get towards the festivity season. What kind of foods do you need to be eating in this time? That is what we want to talk about. And we'll start with the only lady in this panel. That is Kate Kibara, who is a clinical nutritionist, health coach, hydrotherapist. She carries many titles, but we'll go with those ones for now. Good morning, Kate. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Also, we have Collins Otieno, and it's not Otieno, it's actually Otieno Ochieng. I got it correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Who is the chairman, Participatory Ecological and Land Use Management, that is PELAM, Executive Director, CREP, Acting Chair, SCOPE. He also carries many titles, but for today we'll go with those three words. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
My pleasure to be here. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
And we also have John Kariuki, who's the Vice President, Slow Food Foundation for Biodiversity. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. Fair enough. So let's just start from the beginning. I mean, we talk about organic foods, we talk about indigenous foods. You keep saying these are the best foods. You know, this is the way to go. And obviously for you, Collins, you had a lot of organization. Like I told our viewers, you carry many titles, but to just go with the three of them for now. Yeah. Clearly the head of good number of organizations. When you look at all these organizations that you had so far for this number of years and intertwined it with organic or indigenous foods, what can you say have been the gains made so far when it comes to just crossing that bridge and try to embrace the indigenous foods?
Thank you very much, Doreen. I want to say, as PELAM Kenya, that's Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, which has 56 member organizations in this country, we promote organic agriculture as a basic way of producing food. Broadly, we talk of what we call agroecology. This is agriculture that addresses issues of agroecology, life, how life sustains itself and support other living organisms within its environment. So far we've worked with the farmers and sensitized them to know the value that they get when they eat organic food. And on the other hand, we are also encouraging both the consumers and the producers to be aware of the foods that they eat. We have foods that with the time we have neglected, but actually even the Ministry of Agriculture has recognized that they are quite valuable foods. They now call them traditional high-value crops. Initially they were called orphan crops. These are crops like cassava, sorghum, millet, sweet potatoes, and these are real good foods for us. And you find that the way we are raising our children, they are not eating these foods regularly, and they are missing out on a big issue. So this is what we are basically trying to do as a way of introducing this.
All right. You say that they were initially called orphan.
Yes.
Why?
Because, we neglected them as a society. We went to eating bread, butter, bacon, chapati. Of course, chapati is not that bad. But these are foods that, with the time, we as parents, actually, this has been our failure. We have neglected them. And with the time, we've realized that we are losing out in a big way. And based on this, we've started promoting them back so that we produce them. These crops also help us adapt to climate change. There is increasing weather variability, and as a country, as a continent, we need to embrace our local foods that have value, that are able to withstand those weather changes. For instance, crops like cassava, sorghum, millet, those are crops that are able to withstand drought. There are varieties that are early maturing and therefore are able to cushion us when we have our staple food like maize failing because of maybe rains have disappeared during the long rainy season. Yeah. So that is the essence of this, and this is why we now call them traditional highly valued foods.
Okay, well said. And you've mentioned very important points when it comes to consumers, to producers,
yes,
as well as trying to embrace more of our local foods, because it looks like as where we stand, we are really taking in a lot of what we call the junk or even outside foods, as opposed to what we as Kenyans or even as Africans knew to be our traditional foods. But we'll come to that in a bit. John, let me just come to you. You are the VP Slow Food Foundation.
Yes.
Obviously, it was formed to try and ensure that we make strides when it comes to what Collins is saying, traditional foods or even organic or indigenous foods. But what has the progress been so far in this particular organization when it comes to the embrace of this organic foods?
Actually, I'll start from our history. Slow food was started in 1989, and it was started to fight against fast food. That's why, a long time ago. And this was after the first fast food restaurant was opened in Rome. So Slow Food is not a Kenyan organization, but a global organization. And our main focus is on defense of food biodiversity and raising awareness on conscious food choices. So when you talk about slow food, I know that there are those who think that it's about growing food slowly, it's about eating slowly, but that's not the case. Slow food applies a holistic, we have a holistic approach towards food. So we are looking at food from the farm to the fork, looking at all the processes that are there. But on the other side, we are trying a lot to encourage farmers and communities to go back to their traditional foods, because there are a lot of health benefits, as my colleague Colin said. So we have a philosophy that we call good, clean, and fair food. Good because we are entitled to good food. Clean because we want food that is free from agrochemicals, and fair because we want farmers to get a fair compensation for their work. So, and as we are doing this, we have a number of projects that we try to carry out with the communities. We have a project that goes into the direction of cataloging all the traditional foods that are disappearing, because we realize that we may be talking about traditional foods, but then nobody knows about them. So we are cataloging these products, ensuring that people know that these products are there, these indigenous foods are there, and to invite them to do something to save them. I know in Kenya is a very diverse country. We have 43 different tribes, and each community has its own gastronomic traditions. So what we try to do is to ensure that all these products that belong to these communities are documented. Just to give an example, we are working with the Maasai community. And with the Maasai community, what we are trying to do is to protect the red Maasai sheep. Because the red Maasai sheep is an indigenous breed that comes from that community. But nowadays it's very difficult to find a pure red Maasai sheep. And the reason is because of cross-breeding between the red Maasai sheep and doppers from South Africa and other exotic breeds. So for us, we're interested in protecting that indigenous breed because it's adapted to the Maasai land, and it does well, and it's also resistant to diseases. So as slow food, this is our approach. And also working with cooks from at different levels. And we are looking at cooks from 5-star restaurants and hotels to cooks at kiosks, because we want to ensure that quality food is available to everyone. And these indigenous foods are available, and we are also trying to modernize our Kenyan cuisine. Because I know that if you look at a country like Italy, you have a lot of tourists who go to Italy to just taste their food. But when you come to Kenya, I don't think that we have like Kenyan restaurants outside. But Ethiopia as a country is also doing very well. So we have to find ways of ensuring that people are, we modernize our cuisine, so we also attract young people.
Makes a lot of sense. You talked about, you know, the local communities, whereby obviously every community in this country, there's what they are accustomed to. You know, there's the food that just describes that community. And you gave an example of the Maasai community. What is so peculiar about that Maasai community? I mean, when you look at, there's so many other communities, like there's the Luyas, who for them it's, you know, it's chicken. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just being biased. But there's so many other communities. So what's so peculiar about the Maasai community? We want to take a very quick break. When you return, you'll be telling us at least about that, even as you continue to understand more about these indigenous foods and why Kenyans need to embrace these kinds of foods. Time for that break. When you return, plenty more of this conversation. Stay with us.
Wiki hii kwenye mkulima tutakuwa wahandisi.
Na saa zingine unakuwa na matunda mengi. Hayo matunda yakiwa mengi yanakuwa na shida kuuza. Kwa hivyo badala ya kuuza tunaweza kuyatengeneza yakawa ya kuwekwa kwa muda mrefu.
Tumfuge samaki kwa kijumba.
Tilapia ni aina ya samaki anayehimili sana magonjwa na hukua kwa haraka, hivyo kufugwa kwa wingi. Silver Cryptid inayojulikana sana kama omena ama dagaa ni kipenzi cha watu wengi.
Basi ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
You've also finished your plan? Research and Development Manager. Whoa, but I don't see your name.
What?
Dear, don't be too upset. Just calm down.
Why are you answering my phone?
Do you feel guilty yet?
Oh, her. What did you say?
Mom, our family is a total mess. I don't feel too good.
What happened?
A woman called Dad earlier.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回放进去后就不再打。
Welcome back to the program. We continue with our conversation on indigenous, or if you may, organic foods. Now, before you went on break, John, before I come to Kate, we're talking about the communities, and we just wanted to know what is so peculiar or different about the Maasai community.
Actually, as Slow Food, we work with indigenous communities, and the Maasai community is one of them. And one of the unique thing about the Maasai community is that they have not lost their traditions. Their meal, food is mainly based on meat, milk, and blood, and this still happens today. As the other communities that, like the Kikuyu, are shying away from their traditional foods, the Maasai have kept their traditional food. And on the other side, I think the other interesting thing is that we have the Maasai paradox. They eat a lot of meat, but they don't suffer from lifestyle diseases. So this is also something that is very interesting. The reason behind that is because they also use a lot of herbs. So the Maasai is very, very, very unique. And I think that when we try to promote Kenya outside, I think Maasai is one of our brand. So they are very unique.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, Kate, let me come to you. You are the founder of My Healthy Living Club. It looks like actually to be able to champion for most of these organic foods, that you need to either form organizations or be in one, just trying to ensure that we actually get there. Tell us more about My Healthy Living Club.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm a clinical nutritionist and a colon hydrotherapist, and through my work I train a lot of people on healthy living, healthy eating, just how to eat healthy. And it started with myself because I grew up obese, and then as it developed through my education, I realized that there's a lot of education that needs to be given out there. So because of talking to a lot of corporates, talking to a lot of people, they wanted to get that information where they can actually get it either day to day or in form of a virtual club where you get information that you need. And that also made me start Kids Organics, which is a company I run where we promote organic foods by packaging, distributing and selling organic teas, juices, honey, etc., etc. So that's how it began.
All right. So for you, it was more of a personal experience, not just championing for indigenous foods because people are doing it, organizations are doing it. For you, it was more personal.
No, for me, I studied law, but in between studying law, I was very obese and I hated the way I looked. So my passion was to speak about eating healthy. I wanted to look good. I wanted to feel great. So I think that also is what really made me get into eating healthy, eating organic foods, and it became into a career without me knowing that that's what I was actually doing as a passion.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well said. I mean, Collins, let me just come to you. When you listen to Kate's story, this is actually the story of also a good number of Kenyans.
True.
And particularly women. Yeah. And some would cite obesity to obviously the kinds of foods that we eat, mostly junk. For some, it's a bit genetic. Where is that balance? Is it all entirely the kinds of foods that people eat?
A big part of this comes from the food, okay. But of course there are also other physical activities that go with this. Yeah. And this is why we've also formed this organization we call Scope Kenya. This is Schools, Colleges, Permaculture project in Kenya. And this tries to introduce this issue of nutritious and organic foods production in schools. So it starts, for you to eat healthy, it starts from the soil. The soil has to be healthy. It has to be living. The soil has health. They have those organisms that are able to break the organic matter that are being recycled for it to be able to produce the nutrients that the crops need. So if you are to produce organic food, it starts there. And Pelham member organizations and CREP program, we train farmers on how they can be able to assess their soils, to know if they are healthy enough, how they can put in organic farm inputs, organic fertilizers and foliar feeds to produce organic foods. These foods, once they are produced, we encourage the farmers to consume them first, because in some contexts you find that the farmers tend to sell them because they attract premium returns in the supermarket. But we tell them that you should be the first consumer so that you are healthy in the first place before you sell it. And of course, in some towns you can already see that we have organic food outlets. So we are getting to the consumer level where we are trying to enlighten the consumers that they need to be aware of the food that they eat. And this is where you find that our children are obese because we take them out. What do they eat? It is chips, it is nyama choma, the sausages. That's what they do. They also sit on PlayStations at home. They are not active. In our days when we were growing up, it would be football, running with the tiles all over. So there are a number of issues, but food plays a very critical role. One of the things that I'm sure Kate will be talking about is currently we have an upsurge of lifestyle diseases like cancer, diabetes, and this is coming as a result of the foods that we are eating. There are a lot of chemicals that are being used in food production. We go to the market, you find that people look for the glossy tomatoes, yes, the big ones and the juicy. Some of these are preserved with chemicals, and these chemicals have an impact on our health. So this is why we are trying to encourage consumers to be aware, and they will not act unless they form consumer organizations that can be able to monitor how food is produced at different places and give them information. if you go to the West, in Europe, there are very strong consumer organizations that advise people. They say, don't buy vegetables that are produced in this particular place because they use a lot of chemicals. And consumers don't touch until they meet the threshold that those consumer organizations are setting up. So there is a lot that is going into this, but food is quite critical. You know, cancer, it was being talked about in the previous session, and the upsurge of cancer in this country is now quite a telling story, and we need to find out. In Europe, it has been confirmed that some of the chemicals that are being used in production of food or management of the farms are leading to cancer. So our country also needs to do something about this. Check. There are chemicals that have been outlawed by this in this country by the Poisons and Licensing Board, but they find their way into the market through our porous borders. Farmers use them and just to produce, and this is really impacting on our health. Yeah.
Well, I feel like this is more of not just talking about the foods and we need to champion for them, but also more like an informative conversation, even for me, because I mean, I believe a good number of Kenyans don't even understand the importance of having that good soil, as you mentioned, for the purpose of having good food that is beneficial to our health.
Yes.
All right, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right, let me come to you, John, and this is perhaps in respect to even training, because as Collins mentioned, we have that that capacity of talking about these foods, but do you even know how to produce them? When it comes to training of these farmers, what exactly do you train them on? Is it in the terms of the foods they produce, the seasons, like Collins is mentioning, maybe what is taken from outside when it comes to preservations of these foods that they produce? What exactly does it entail?
Actually, it entails like our trainings start from the seed, because without seed you cannot produce food. And we have a very big challenge when it comes to seeds, because most of our seeds are commercial. So we start from the seeds, how to produce their own seed, save their own seed, and then reproduce their seeds at their farms. And then we also train them on how to produce these different indigenous crops. And actually we get a lot of information from the communities, because I think that these are the biggest scientists. We may try to bring in like research institutions, but I think the biggest researchers are farmers. So we work with them. Actually what we do is to facilitate so that this knowledge can come out. And then, of course, I think our main focus is on promoting these products. So this is where we mainly come in. Like, how do we ensure that these products are getting to the market? Like by connecting farmers with food outlets, with chefs at different levels. These chefs can be able to buy these traditional products from the farmers and then transform them in their kitchens. And then on the other side, we're also looking at organic markets, organic farmers markets. How can we ensure that farmers are able to sell their products directly to the potential consumers? Like also trying to eliminate all these middlemen that are in between, so that they can talk about their products, their history, and the like. And then on the other side, what we are trying to do is to come up with the concept of narrative labeling, trying to tell a story about a product. So when you look at the red Maasai sheep, there is a story behind that breed. When you talk about the Ogiek honey that comes from the Mau forest, there is a story behind that honey, because the Ogiek as a community, they are forest dwellers, so they mainly rely on forest resources for survival. But then when you look at their honey is threatened because of deforestation in Mau forest. So what we try to do is to tell a story, so that at least consumers can also understand the quality of the product that they are buying or they are consuming. Because I know that we have talked a lot about organic food in Kenya, and we are also in the process of developing the organic policy in the country in partnership with COAN, but I think that we have not been able to get the policy. So we need again to continue working with also the policy makers, the local authorities, to ensure that at least we have policy backing in what we do.
Okay, so just from what you're saying, does it mean that we really have a long way to go?
It's not really.
We are almost somewhere there.
We are almost there, because like we are based in Nakuru County. And the other day we organized a symposium in partnership with the Pelham, and it was a symposium about indigenous foods and agroecology. And of course we partnered with the city. You know, Nakuru now is a city, so we partnered with the Nakuru city, And of course, we agreed that we'll be organizing that event on an annual basis. So then the policy makers, the local authorities are also interested in promoting healthy eating at local and national level. So we are not very far from there.
All right, fair
we
enough.
just need to continue working together with farmers and other like-minded organizations.
All right. Now, Kate, in the capacity of a nutritionist, I mean, when you look at the rise in cases of most of these lifestyle diseases, what you call the cardiovascular diseases, diabetes perhaps, cancer, like we just keep mentioning, most of this is attributed to what we call the junk food. But also a good number of Kenyans will tell you, I can't just be eating organic, ama chakula za shamba kila, so I at least need to eat something sweet. What is your take on that, and what has been your experience even as you go about, perhaps talking to Kenyans or even training Kenyans in the various organizations or clubs that you hold?
Thank you for that. I think when you look at what you're eating, we always talk about what you eat. Honestly, what you put on your table is what determines your health. Are you healthy? Are you not healthy? And in this day and age, we need to eat poison-free food. We've seen that foods that have poisons, and when I talk about poisons, I'm talking about the synthetic chemicals, the synthetic fertilizers, the synthetic pesticides, foods that are over-processed, whereby you're not taking the actual ingredient, you're just taking something that is similar to that is more tasty, and basically we only add a lot of toxins, by toxins I mean preservatives, colors, additions to make the food look nice and taste better. We preserve it even more. We change the format of the actual food. But what we need to understand is, what are you giving that? How are you feeding your system with that? As a nutritionist, you're made of nothing but cells. Research says that you're made of about 75,000 trillion cells. And for you to wake up, to be healthy, for your cells to rejuvenate, for your organs to be okay every single day, for you to fight disease, because disease is a process. It's something that happens every day. You need to take antioxidants. You need to take vitamins and minerals. You need to feed that system in a healthy way, so that the basic unit of the basic unit of life, your cell, that makes the tissues, that makes the organs, and that organ is you, protects you from what that is happening. You've asked me about, can you eat 100% organic? Maybe you cannot. You may not, because even as right now, we are exposed to free radicals. We breathe free radicals. But you need to eat healthy, life-giving food that is high in antioxidants. And I'm talking about vitamins, minerals, vitamin A, vitamin C, selenium, coenzyme Q10, that will actually protect me if at all I'm spoiling myself. Maybe I decide my spoiling days on Sundays, and that's when I'm eating my junk food. I take all these foods that are high in cholesterol or high in toxins. If I've been eating all these antioxidants during the week, they will protect my system, because we were built for our cells to rejuvenate and to heal themselves by providing the right nutrients. So if I'm taking the right vitamins and the right minerals and the right nutrients from the food that I have, it means I'm protecting my health in an overall way. But remember, lifestyle diseases are on the increase. We have diabetes right now in children. Diabetes type 2. We have type 1 that you're born with, but you have the diabetes type 2 that is coming because of the lifestyle. Look at the increase of cancer today. Everywhere you look, everyone has cancer. And what is the cause? As much as we do not know specifically, we can link them to highly processed foods, so foods that are not natural. It's not like you got a banana and ate it as a banana. You got that banana and ate it as maybe something that was deep fried or frosted or was somewhere on the shelf. So we are talking about preservatives. Organic foods do not contain all these nitrates and all these preservatives that may create harm to your health. So when you talk about like our cured meats, when you talk about our milk products, when you talk about all these fresh produce, that when I walk into a supermarket, you look for all this nice looking tomato that has very nice color. You ignore the one that is dented, not knowing that this other one is sprayed for it to look that way and for it to live longer. So these preservatives, when it gets into my body, even if it is formaldehyde or even if it is that nitrate, and formaldehyde, as we know, is a preservative for dead bodies, for corpses. So even if it gets into my body, it does not know it is in Kate's body. It just works in the same way. I'm talking about the colors that are added. We have the red color in the juices. We have the blue colors in the cakes. We have flavors like the vanilla flavor, which in the food is they are accepted as GRAS, generally recognized as safe. So they're introduced into the food industry. But with time, research has shown that they are causing a lot of problems. So I'm taking a vanilla flavor, thinking I'm taking vanilla that we grew somewhere in Nairobi, but I'm actually taking a chemical that is known in the chemical industry to kill lice. So when you continue with this, and I'm even looking at the growing of our animals, it's not only the crops that should be grown free of pesticides, synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. I'm looking at our animals as well. These days we are so commercial based that I want my chicken to mature within 3-5 weeks. So what I do, you feed them with hormone-based foods or animal bioproducts where they expand and grow within a short time. So you're not eating the protein, you're not getting the value of the food that you're eating. What you're taking is what the chicken is being fed on. We look at our cows, the antibiotics that they are fed on. So you're not getting the quality, you're not getting the omegas, the fatty acids that you need. And what happens, you just transfer all those hormones and the antibiotics into your system. And this is also a reason that has made us become antibiotic resistant, because we are taking all these foods that have all this meat, because we are a meat-eating country. And then now you're antibiotic resistant. There's a lot of allergens. There's a lot of weakened immunity. And then the hormones. If I'm taking this chicken, even if it is my child, my 12-year-old, who have exposed to taking chicken that is grown with the hormones, not organically, you find that now the hormone transfers into this person and they start now expanding like the chicken. They start behaving the same way. There's hormonal imbalance, and hormonal imbalance causes a lot of cancers, especially in women, even in men. So what we need to do is to look at the origin of what we are eating, because it is the leading cause of our lifestyle diseases and our haphazard nature, where we don't know what is happening, where somebody who thought was eating healthy is becoming ill. And as I finish, I remember one time I had a training with a doctor, and a doctor said, if God knew that we were going to, when he was doing the Garden of Eden, because that's what we need, to eat healthy, to eat natural ingredients that your body understands, then he would have opened a hospital at the Garden of Eden. And that has made me think for a long time. What we have is really enough for us. It's only that we've adulterated, we've changed it. We just want to commercialize everything and make money without understanding where your health comes from and where your cell is.
Well, Kate, you've really talked about a lot, and I think it's really important for also us to understand as Kenyans. But since you do not want Kenyans to grow as fat as the chicken that you likened it to, and obviously we know that we can also not eat 100% organic foods every day. Again, as a nutritionist, where do we strike the balance? Because also you talked about the flavors, the preservatives. As a consumer, I may really not know the impact or the effect of what I'm consuming in respect to the kind of preservative that was used for this particular food. So as a consumer, how do I get to strike the balance between the junk and the organic food?
I think that most importantly, read labels. When you go to the supermarket, just look at what you're eating. I'm very careful at doing that when I'm shopping.
Which is not a culture we have as Kenyans, because you just want to go get bread, pick from the shelf. You want to go get, maybe a spice, pick it from the shelf.
And that's why you're 85% responsible for your health condition. If you do not do that, then you'll end up taking things that are not healthy without you knowing. But we have the organic mark, which is the Kilimo Hai mark. If you go to the supermarket and look at the vegetables or anything on the shelf with that mark, you're safe to do that. If you're going to buy spices that are not organic, you'll just find that they are written, that they added all these things. Maybe you could avoid that. But if you're not doing that totally, taking vegetables, fruits, drinking water. I'm telling you, whole foods is what protects you. The cell is protected by vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. We have things like vitamin A. We always talk about taking a carrot. We always talk about vitamin C. Take your orange every day. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's because if you add fruits and vegetables to your diet, and it's something that we do not do. We don't take salads. We do not take our 3 to 4 servings of fruits every day. Your plate naturally, even if you're not looking at labels, half of your plate should be veggies, whereby you have 3 to 4 colors. You have maybe your lettuce, you have your tomato, you have something else. And all these colors represent a nutrient. And those nutrients, not only are they the antioxidants that counteract the free radical from your system, so your body is healing and getting the nutrients as it eats, it also has the phytochemicals. If you're taking garlic in your food, you're maybe making meat that has a lot of cholesterol. For example, there's allicin. Allicin will help in reducing that from the garlic that you'll add that. Allicin is also anti-cancer. You've added tomatoes to that food. Tomatoes contain lycopene. Lycopene is also anti-cancer. So you're preventing that as you're eating because of the phytochemicals or the natural food property that protects us and builds our health. You have things like the cruciferous vegetables that are also anti-cancer. You have things like the sweet potatoes. If you go to a traditional foods that contain plant-based estrogens, so you're not there getting the hormonal imbalance, you're there protecting your cells. You have things like the green leafy veggies that are high in iron, that are high in magnesium, that actually protects you. You're taking juices like the herbal juices, like maybe nettle, the green ones, wheatgrass, which contains megahertz that actually fight all these things that you're eating every day without knowing. So the solution is, as much as you're not going to read these labels, but my number one advice is that read what you're buying, know what you're eating, know what is on your plate. But if it's not going to happen, add your portions of fruits and veggies every day. Ensure that you're drinking enough water. Exercise, all those things that you're told all the time. Healthy living is step by step, not just bringing everything in. Reduce your intake of highly processed food. If you're taking a lot of fried foods, reduce that. If you're taking a lot of junk food, reduce that.
All right.
And make a balance, and there'll actually be a change in your health.
Makes a lot of sense. Healthy living is step by step, try to strike a balance. That is what Kate is saying. I mean, Collins, Kate is speaking with a lot of passion.
True.
Trying to enlighten Kenyans.
Exactly.
Do you feel that is a gap that you're having towards, embracing completely, if I can mention, organic foods, the consumer, producer, creation of awareness, and what can we do, even just as common Kenyans?
Thank you. Actually, that is the big gap. And what we can do first and foremost is you as an individual, actually you can produce some of the food that you consume. Whether you are in Nairobi here, we have urban agriculture that you just need a sack and you can grow your vegetables. 2-3 sacks.
So that means you don't need to be in Ushago to be eating healthy.
Yes, you can produce your food. You need 3 sacks, and actually if you're a family of about 4, you'd have enough vegetables that you would be sure of how they've been produced. And it's not difficult. We have organizations under Pelham that can be able to support you if you want to do that. You can use old basins to produce some of these foods around your area. So that's critical. We can do something as individuals towards this. 2, we need to know where our food comes from. And this we can do if we form consumer groups that are able to help us trace the sources of our food, so that the labeling she's talking about, even when you get to the supermarket or whichever market, you can, this is tomato which has been produced in Makueni by this particular group. This orange is from this Mombasa, from this particular group, and there is a group that monitors how this is being produced. In such a way, we are being responsible for our health, taking that action that is needed. And 3, we need to lobby for enactment of policies, because without policies, there are not going to be resources to support some of this. This is why we need to really push our government.
This is what John was talking about
earlier? Yes, both at the county and the national level. Of course, it should start at the national level so that we have organic agriculture policies. And the government should take deliberate action to address this. If you see the cost of healthcare currently on diseases like cancer, it's overwhelmed us. You know, the NHIF, the insurance that majority of Kenyans can be able to afford, can hardly support the patients. Yeah, and we have already outweighed the current health system. So we need to take deliberate actions to, push the government. Right now, we have people who are campaigning, our candidates at different levels, presidential. They need to be talking to us on what they are going to do about our food, about the healthcare. If they are not talking about some of these things, then we need to know that we have the wrong candidates.
Now you're taking it a bit political, but does that, wouldn't that mean that now it's a way of capturing Kenyans, just sort of like wooing Kenyans?
You see, it is not just talking about it. They have to explain how. Because without that, then we cannot realize some of these gains. So if they are going to help us address some of these issues, then we know that we are going to be safe health-wise. When you are consuming organic food, we are talking about our environment being healthy. We don't have a lot of chemicals that are being sprayed in the farms, which gets to our water we consume and affects our bodies. We are talking about our health as individuals. Actually, organic foods have natural taste, the way Kate has explained, and they have the nutrients that we desire. So it's not that they are not tasty. If I give you sweet potatoes from Kabondo, where we work in South Nyanza, you'd find that it's very tasty, and it's the potato that the Queen Elizabeth eats. She does not eat any other potato. It has to come from that place, and it is organic. So it is very tasty, it is nutritious, and this is what we need to do. So we need to take action as individuals, as civic society organizations, as consumers. And the consumers can dictate. If they insist on labeling of every food, then you will find that people will be labeling and explaining what is used. What Kate is saying, before you pick any food, can you read, is it a genetically modified food? Is it organic food? How has it been produced? Then with that, you'll find that even the producers are going to be conscious and they're going to be responsive to the needs of the consumer. In such a way, you'd find that we would be moving together.
All right, and I think that's why we have you here. Just also for Kenyans to understand. Let me speak about Kenyans because, we are Kenyans.
True.
So speaking about our context, to understand the power that we as consumers, we have. Because, we can have on-end conversations about we need to eat organic foods. It's important for us. But do you know your power as a Kenyan, as a consumer, that you can actually fight for? I want proper labeling, like for instance the way you mentioned of these foods, for me to know what exactly I'm talking about, because I can talk about I want to strike a balance, but I don't even know what I'm buying sometimes.
And just to give an example, here in Nairobi we have organizations, like one organization, a member of Pelham Kenya, CSHEP. They work with particular farmers who produce organic foods, and they've identified consumers who are interested in this. So that food comes from the farmer directly to you. You can say, I'll be needing 2 baskets of this assorted foods, and it is brought to you. So this is something if Kenyans can embrace and say, give a shout that we need organic foods. Who can help us get organic foods that are certified and they monitor? Then in such a way you can be, and quite a number of people here in Nairobi now get that. So you can say, I'll be getting my consignments on Mondays and Thursdays every week, and you get that food. You are taking responsibility. The other bits, as I said earlier, you can produce in your backyard.
All right, John, let me come to you, and this is about farmer compensation, because we can talk about consumers, but we heavily rely on farmers and what they produce for us, especially as Kenyans. But do you feel, or do you think enough is being done for farmers when it comes to their payments, their reimbursements, or even compensations over what they do? And perhaps if not, what needs to be done? Is it also a question of policies, the way you're talking about earlier?
Yeah, I don't think that farmers are getting a fair compensation for what they are doing.
Okay.
And of course, I think that we have to remember that small-scale farmers produce over 80% of the food that we eat.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the living standards of our farmers, they are always considered poor kings. And they are considered poor kings because, you know, they produce a lot of food, but then they remain poor. And this is because of the prices that they get, especially the farm gate prices, and the different players in the food value chain. So we have like so many middlemen. For example, looking at Molo as a potato producing area. So we produce a lot of potatoes, but then when you look at the middlemen that are in between the small scale farmers and the food outlets or the end consumers, there are so many. So at the end, those who benefit a lot are the middlemen. So I don't think that the farmers, not the main person, but I think that we need policies that favor farmers or support farmers, so that at least they do the hardest work. But then why should they be earning peanuts for what they are doing? And giving also an example of like the coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee is a very, it's like a coffee is considered a gold. And it fetches very good prices at the international market. But then when you look at what Kenyan farmers are earning, they're earning peanuts. You go to a country like Italy, a small cup of espresso goes for €1.20. And that's about almost 150 Kenya shillings. But what trickles down to the small scale farmer or to the coffee farmers in Kenya is around 1% of that price. So we need to work with the government. We need to support farmers. Actually, we should always support farmers to lobby for policy changes because we need masses for us to be able to influence the policies that we have in place. And then on the other side, I think as slow food and like-minded organizations, what we should try to do is to cut the middlemen, to open up markets for our farmers so that, as I said earlier, they can sell the products directly to the consumers and to the end users. And then on the other side, I know that when you talk about organic versus conventional or standardized food production, people tend to think that organic is expensive. And that's why they will not go for organic products in markets.
Expensive does not taste good, just like what Collins mentioned.
Yeah, they always say that it's expensive and maybe the taste is not that good because it doesn't have those additives like it has said. But I think that we need to raise a lot of awareness so that our people know that, you know, you may, I think that you have talked about supermarket. When you go to a supermarket, what do you look at? You look at the prices. You don't look at the label. You don't look at the quality. Yeah, just look at the price. That's what attracts you most. But I think that we have to remember that the small amount we save by buying small bad food will be spent sometimes in the future, probably in hospital. So we have to educate our farmers on the need to pay maybe a small premium price for quality products. But we also have to ensure that this price is fair both for farmers and also for consumers. So we don't have to exploit the consumers. But you have to pay a premium price, just a small percentage to ensure that at least farmers are compensated for what they do.
All right, and that's the purpose of creation of awareness.
Yes.
So just briefly, I want you to break it down for us just quickly, that policy bit, because anytime we talk about, especially anything that has the government in place, because we keep talking about, I think the government needs to do this, the government needs to come up with policies that can work. But then again, that's why sometimes I like to twitch it a bit and say, what can we do as common Kenyans? Because you can clearly heavily rely on the government, but maybe there's a part you can do as a Kenyan to also help and assist you, because at the end of the day, it's your body, it's your health. So that policy bit, just briefly, what exactly are we talking about?
We are talking about the policies that are in place. For example, if we look at the seeds, we have policies that govern the seed sector. If you look at those policies, they favor industrial seeds and not the farmer saved seeds. And then on the other side, when you look at even the way our structures or the government, or when you look at the multinationals, you will realize that most of our policies are skewed in favor of multinationals. That's why we have a lot of seeds from outside the country. We have a lot of agrochemicals that are getting into the country. And most of these agrochemicals are banned in Western countries. So we are getting harmful pesticides from countries that have banned the same harmful agrochemicals. And then the interesting part is that, so we get a lot of these agrochemicals from these developed countries, but then they don't want you to export the chemicals back to their country. So this means that if you have to export avocados from Kenya, they have to meet certain thresholds. So meaning that they don't have to have chemical residues. So this means that our policies are skewed in favor of this model of development.
Favoring us.
Yes, as opposed to supporting small-scale farmers and also the Kenyan citizens. So we really need to work with the policymakers at different levels, starting from the county to the national level.
All right, makes a lot of sense. Kate, let me come to you, and this is in respect to what you had mentioned earlier, that when you talk about eating healthy or even a balanced diet, sometimes you really miss that aspect of water. You had mentioned it a bit, but I want you to expound it further for us to understand how important it is to not only just incorporate water in our diets, but just getting to that habit of even taking it oftentimes in a single day.
Okay, thank you. And that's very important because the second most important nutrient in your system is water. The first one is oxygen. Water is the second one, and we have all this network of capillaries. I think it's about 36,000 square feet that need to be showered with this water, and the kidneys use the water to filter all these things. I was taking all these chemicals, I was taking all these things that were not natural to my cell. So the body is trying to wash it away. And for you to do that, you need 2 liters of water in your system every day. So 2 liters of water is about 6 to 8 glasses. So if you're not drinking those 6 to 8 glasses, it means like today maybe, okay, yesterday I did not drink 6 to 8, the 2 liters that is required, I took maybe 2 glasses, or I don't drink enough water. It means that you're recycling dirty water in your system, because you cannot stay without water. Dehydration can kill you. So clean water is like the way it's raining. Today morning it was raining when I was getting here, and if the roads are clean, everything has been washed, and that's what happens in your system. And it's not only the 6 to 8 glasses of water. When you wake up in the morning, take a glass of warm water. It jumpstarts your metabolism. There's something known as the biorhythmic cycle, where active organs operate at an active time. So in the morning it is your bowel. So drinking a glass of warm water, you could add an organic herb like aloe vera or wheatgrass. It actually helps in jump-starting your metabolism and cleaning your system. Secondly, you also need to take water-rich foods. Water-rich foods are fruits and veggies. Watermelon is 98% water. You're taking a watermelon, you're still cleaning your system. You're taking lettuce, 96% water, you're still cleaning your system. The more clogged food you take, the more you clog your system. The more fresh foods you take, the more water content they contain that helps in cleansing and reducing the toxicity level or the concentration of toxins in your system. And they also act in improving the bowel movement so that you do not retain what you're eating. Everything you eat needs to get out within 24 hours. And water, apart from fiber and exercise, water also helps with that. So you also need to drink enough water. Just try for this week, just try for a week. Just drink water, glasses that are required. And it's not talking about today evening. I forgot to take all the 6 glasses. So by 6 in the evening, I'm drinking all the 6 at once. It's just spacing per day, and then the body works its way to cleanse your system. Water is life, the second most important nutrient.
All right. Kate. Looks like we had an hour, but didn't look like it was actually good enough time for this conversation. And Collins and John were really agreeing with what you're saying, Kate, especially in respect to that water aspect bit and how important it is. We can keep talking about organic foods, but do you really understand the place of water in eating of these foods? That is what Kate was just trying to elaborate and make us understand how important it is. After oxygen, the next thing up on Imaji, be taking water and make it a habit. That is where we bring this conversation to a close. I have been speaking with Kate Kibara, who's a clinical nutritionist, health coach, as well as a hydrotherapist, and also Collins Ochieng, the chairman, Participatory Ecological and Land Use Management, that is PELAM, as well as the Executive Director, CREP, and Acting Chair, SCOPE, and also John Kariuki, who is the Vice President, Slow Food Foundation for Biodiversity. And they have been talking to us about indigenous foods for healthy living, what you need to know as a Kenyan when it comes to the embrace of organic, or if you may, indigenous foods, and not always leaving it to the government. Look at what you can also do as a Kenyan and help yourself with that, because at the end of the day, it is your body, it is your health. This is why we bring Good Morning Kenya to a close this Thursday morning. Many thanks for making time up until this time of the morning. From me and on behalf of the entire team, we say thank you so much for watching. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo. Till next week, have a beautiful morning.
Our spotlight on art leads us to the heart of Kibra, where an organization that handles art in all dimensions stands. As the name suggests, Art 360 is a hub for various art forms conveniently made and found under one roof.
Art 360, as its name comes from the mouth, it is art at all angles. So it is a space where we recycle, we create different techniques, and with the aim to take creativity to the next level, especially in Kibera, because we don't have such spaces at home to express and grow. And that's why we founded Art 360 and invited artists to come and work together to grow and to change life in Kibera. It is art at all angles at Art 360. We recycle,